show, all lined in a row. We just push on by. It's funny how hard we try. Take a moment to relax before you do anything rash. Don't you wanna know me? Be a friend of mine. I'll share some wisdom with you. Don't you ever get lonely from time to time. Don't let the system get you.
Big city life, me try to get mine. Cause your eyes up no matter how hard me try. Big city life, in my heart have no base. And right now Babylon
bit strange, so to speak, something that you wouldn't really expect to see in the previous meta, and I'm really excited to get into these games. And today I'm going to be casting with a good friend of mine, Big Moran. How are you doing today, buddy?
Pretty good. I'm pretty excited to see this tournament. I always like arenas. You know, they're nice and short, not 20 minutes like Warsong Gold. They're like 1 minute probably. And I've heard that the bracket's pretty bursty, especially with rogues. A lot of these rogues that we'll be seeing in this tournament are playing Outlaw. They do a lot of damage. That's currently my favorite rogue spec too, so that's pretty cool. And they actually, I think it's the only rogue spec that has access to a stun outside of Cheap Shot. So they have Between the Eyes, which is a range stun. It's basically like Kidney Shot that you can use from range, and it's at 5 combo points. It stuns for 5 seconds. So I think we'll be seeing a lot of that sort of stuff. But I'm just really excited to see these rogues and this tournament in general.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I mean, I'm looking at like one of the team compositions here, and you've seen an Arms Warrior, Outlaw Rogue, and Discipline Priest. Now, I mean, that's something that you never really can see in any form of competitive arena environment before. Maybe now, we don't know. This could be really good. It could be really bad. Who knows? But I do think that strong CC is still going to be in a part of this meta, regardless as to how bursty things are going to be. All we can do really is speculate as to what's going to go down today. You know, I mean, we don't really know all that much about this meta. There's not a lot of players who've got a lot of experience thus far into this pre-patch. The actual expansion isn't even out yet, so it's only been out a couple of weeks now, maybe 3 weeks. I'm not too sure. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in these up-and-coming games. And the first up-and-coming game that we have going is, Moran, do you know exactly who's going up? I don't have the challenge page open right now. Sorry, guys. I just reopened my computer, and I've not got all my windows available. Do you have the challenge open, Big Moran?
No, but I'll take a look at that really quick. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of these teams have rogues. There's a lot of fire mages too, so expect to see a lot of RMP matchups. And actually, as far as the rogue warrior comp goes, that was actually a popular comp in Burning Crusade, actually. But it wasn't. I think these warriors might be running Fury, maybe not though. But yeah, during BC, that was actually a really good comp.
It was very early on. You're right. I remember in Season 2, like, seeing that, like, a ton. It was level 70 back then, guys, for any of you guys who are not too sure. Level 70 endgame arena then, you know, it was pretty popular. Even in amongst the twin brackets as well. I mean, when I played 19s in TBC, a good friend of mine, you guys may know him as Lyndon Cron. When we used to play 3v3, we'd play Arms Warrior. Well, it was kind of like hybrid warrior, really, sword and board warrior at times. Sometimes two-handed warrior rogue. So even at lower levels, it transitioned down back in TBC as well. So maybe we're going to see a revival of some of these really old cookie cutter comps. So I'm pretty excited to see that. We're going to be getting into these games really, really soon. So Moran, talk to me. There's a lot of rogues. You know, you said yourself that Outlaw is one of your favorite specs right now in this meta because you play a rogue yourself. But what teams, what compositions do you think, out of the compositions that are actually taking part in today's tournament, do you think is going to be able to handle like these Fire Mage, Rogue, Disc Priest teams? Because it's so CC heavy, so bursty. I can't really see many other comps faring up well against it. But I don't know, maybe you can enlighten us. What do you think?
I mean, maybe the Feral Druid comp could do that. There's a Feral Rogue. I don't know how Feral's single target damage is. I mean, it used to be really good. At endgame, Ferals don't do as good single target damage as they used to. They're more of like a cleavy type spec. But you know, the mage not being able to CC the Feral very often, it's gonna be very difficult to do anything effective against that comp. So I think if any comp is gonna give the mages trouble, it's gonna be that Feral comp. Outside of that, there's a hunter. There's a Survivor Hunter team. Survival Hunters obviously had a big reworking during this expansion, so now they're a melee class, which is kind of goofy, but they actually do a lot of damage. The way their damage works is it happens all at once. They have an ability called Mongoose Strike, and Mongoose Strike gives them a buff, which increases the damage done by their next Mongoose Strike, and this buff stacks. It stacks up to 6, but at lower levels, I don't think they can get 6 stacks because they need a talent called it's like called Snake Trap or something. I don't remember what it is, or Snake Bite. I don't know exactly the name of the talent, but if they have access to that talent, they could do a 6-stack Mongoose Strike, which hits for a lot of damage. It's all multiplied, and outside of that, they usually play with Axe Toss. At least at lower levels, they play with Axe Toss. They might play with this talent called Way of the Machnathal, which does something similar, increases their damage and stacks. So Survival Hunters are pretty scary if they can line up all their damage.
Yeah, I mean, I have some experience as well facing and playing Survival Hunter in this meta. And I mean, I just feel like a bit of a glass cannon, I'm not going to lie, especially at the lower levels where it's still kind of bursty. Not quite as bursty as I would say it was in WoD across the brackets. But I don't know, maybe at 39 it's more bursty than WoD, because I do remember WoD 39 being pretty cool. You know, the damage to HP ratios was kind of on point with that for a lot of the time. But I mean, this spec hits hard, but from my experience, it's kind of just a glass cannon, because once you're too far in and you get swapped to, it's just like one short CC onto your healer and you can be in a lot of trouble with that. So I'm pretty interested to see how this is going to play out. But I do like to say we have a KFC comp with a survival hunter. You know, we've got a Disc Priest, we've got that survival hunter, and you have that arms warrior. But seeing that being played out as the double melee, still having the trap though, so you do have trap fear. You know, I think the arms warriors at this level, they do have Stormbolt and Shockwave available to them as well. I think that's a level 30. That's a second tier talent for those guys. So you know, we're going to see some pretty hefty CC change that some healers are going to have to tank at this low level. You know, with the PvP trinkets now being 3 minutes long as well, instead of the 2 minutes it was prior at the lower level. So it's going to be really impactful in a lot of these games.
Not to mention, Warriors do a lot of damage. They have overpower on their first tier, and it's proc based, so they can't just spam the ability. But it does a lot of damage. I think it's their hardest hitting ability, especially when the target has Colossus Smash on them. Colossus Smash makes all their abilities hit harder, because I think it still works this way. It reduces the target's armor. So if they Colossus Smash overpower someone, you know, followed by Immortal Strike, it's a lot of damage. So I mean, Arms Warriors are quite scary. I think they still have that pummel. One of the things I was wondering is so hunters have, you said they have freezing trap at this level, correct?
I do believe that they do. I'm pretty sure about that.
Okay.
I'll have to just quickly double check for you.
Yeah, it's hard to remember this stuff off the top of your head. Like, if I randomly have to chat, like, what is the second talent?
Yes, they have freezing trap, but they have no other traps. They don't have the explosive trap, or they don't have the other one that's a snare trap equivalent that now has a different name. I think that's snake trap or something.
It's called tar trap now, I think.
Tar trap, that's right, yeah.
But yeah, okay, so hunters do have Snake Hunter. Like, if you look, I'll link this for the chat really quick, but I mean, we're on a delay, but if you look at the Survival Hunter talent tree, I'll link it here in Discord. Their second talent is called Snake Hunter, and that says instantly grants you 3 charges of Mongoose Bite. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to play, I think with throwing axes, and you're supposed to play a Snake Hunter. You Mongoose strike someone 3 times in a row. That's because it has 3 charges. You pop your Snake Hunter, then you can Mongoose Strike 3 times after that, and the damage is all multiplied because Mongoose Bite increases the damage done by your.
Is it 50%? It's 50% per stack, right?
Yes, and so you can stack it up to 6. With
that's 300% increased damage by the time it gets to the last Mongoose Bite, and it hits pretty hard anyway. You know?
It's a pretty big deal. One of the things too is, I guess Survival Hunters don't. You said they don't have explosive trappers. It's pretty important because that's actually one of their primary damaging abilities now. It's funny, that's what they use to burst. But we won't be seeing any of that. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. One of the reasons I really like 39s is you have access to that second tier of talents, which is pretty. I mean, for most specs, that's actually a really important tier, especially for like outlaw rogues. You get grappling hook. So you have some mobility. But it looks like we might be going into our first game, actually, and it should be between Whammy House and SMD Cleave. So Whammy House is the Disc Warrior Outlaw Rogue, and SMD Cleave is the Outlaw Balanced Druid Disc Priest. Okay, so actually, apparently, we're doing a 2v3 because one of the people didn't show up. A little bit of a, I don't know, miscommunication or something. That's
pretty interesting, that, Moran. I mean, upon request, they requested to do a 2 versus 3. They are pretty confident that they can still take some games against 3 players. So I'm going to say this a pretty light hard. I just want to see how this goes. We'll see what they can pull out, what kind of combos are going to pull out. Maybe a triple Shockwave Fear combo, looking to score kills with the offensive Priest now, you know, being disciplined. And also, I just want to point out real quick, guys, is since the Legion pre-patch, the Arenas Live Spectator add-on that we use to show you these games in this format, it's bugged, it's broken. We can't choose what maps that people play or anything like that. So that's really unfortunate, but hey, you know, it is what it is, and it looks like the gates are open. And as you can see, it looks like the Team Red, they're not really taking this seriously at all. And Maybe they're going to let it be a 2v2. I'm not too sure. You can see Nerflos is taking a significant amount of damage here. No, the swap coming out over there onto Really QT. He's taking a lot of damage. Colossal Splash. Stormbolt coming out there, catching that Power Word Shield. Pedance desperately trying to pick up Really QT. He is dangerously low right now. Heroic leaping away, trying to just get some distance away from the Outlaw Rogue, who's just relentlessly chopping through him. And it looks like he is going to go down there in that 2v3 scenario. It does not surprise me one bit at this point. I don't know why, Brian, they requested this game, but we're here to deliver these games. This is what they wanted. That's the result. 1-0.
I mean, not much you can do. I mean, if you're the Warrior Priest, I think the only thing you could look for is like a healer kill or something. Maybe they could train down that Disc Priest. It looks like they're trying to do that, but just kind of got overwhelmed. But yeah, I mean, for this very first series, you can kind of expect how these matches are going to play out. Not much, not much to say, not much analysis, but it's a bit unfortunate. And yeah, guys, the Arena Live Spectator add-on hasn't been updated. It's a massive add-on, so I'm sure the guys like to screw that. Not going to do that for this pre-patch, so it's a bit unfortunate. But it is we're working with what we have, and unfortunately, that's not very much. So bear with us for any technical difficulties or UI difficulties we might be experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, I was just about to say that, you know, we might stumble upon some technical difficulties on our end. I mean, we're usually pretty organized with this kind of stuff. This took us by surprise. You know, we've not done an event since the Twin Cup, so we've had no reason to check it, really. And, I mean, it was me, myself, earlier. I raised, it was literally an hour before we began, guys, because I do remember that Battleground Targets, the add-on, that actually got updated in the Legion pre-patch because it wasn't functioning with the WOD version of it, so that made me think, oh crap, maybe the Arena Live Spectator add-on doesn't work, and instantaneously we stumbled upon loads of problems, but we managed to work our way around it so you guys get somewhat of an interface, but it's as good as we're going to get. You're not going to see the new abilities updated at the bottom on the cooldown section or anything like that. You're not going to be able to see the PvP trinkets as they get used either, which is, it kind of sucks, but we're just going to have to deal with it for now. You know, we didn't make this add-on, so we're going to wait for the guy to update it himself before we can function these tournaments at full velocity, so to speak. But just what I want to do really quick is just check to make sure that that team's going to play again. I do believe that they should, because it is a best of 3. But whether they do or not, I don't know. Maybe they throw it in the towel. We'll find out. I'm just going to check that real quick.
I guess there's a bit of a review over one of the bit of a ruling being done right now over one of the comps that we'll be playing later. I guess someone is saying that one of the comps might be violating the rules. Hopefully that's not the case, but you know, that's like tattling, man. Like, you're playing this tournament, just play it. Like, don't tattle on other teams for running, I don't know, a Resto Druid healer or something. But anyway, we're going into the second game, and it's probably going to be a 2v3 again. I'm just going to go check the other team since I'm a floating. Yep, I'm a floating spacey. I can go through these gates, and it does look like we have another 2v3. This Warrior Priest valiantly deciding to try to beat this Boomkin Rogue Priest in a 2v3 scenario. And if they can manage to pull this off, that'd be quite impressive, but I highly doubt it. But yeah, we're probably gonna see the exact same thing. If this Warrior Priest wants to do anything productive, they're gonna have to go train the enemy Priest from start to finish, and hopefully they can get like crazy procs and do crazy damage. But it's gonna be really hard to deal with the Rogue CC. This Rogue immediately blinded the Warrior last matchup, and the Warrior was forced to trinket. And then, you know, following that, he just cheap shot between the eyes and just lock him down for a while. And it looks like the Warrior is going to get open on. Priest is sitting a full sap. Can't really trinket that because if he trinkets that, he's going to be put into a full blind. Looks like he is going to get root beamed. Really good job by this Boomkin, root beaming that Priest, extending the CC chain. Again, not much this team can do, and he's just going to go down. So that's going to be the series, and that's going to be a W for SMD Cleave, which is Validos, Jelbishi, and Nerflos. So good job to SMD Cleave. I'm not exactly sure what SMD stands for. It might be something I need to search on Urban Dictionary, but good job to them.
Could be something a little controversial, but hey, who knows? So, okay, by the looks of things, we're just going to get on into the next series. I mean, we do have that 2-man team. They're going to go down into the losers bracket, maybe their third player. By the time that their next game comes through, that they're going to have their third player available and potentially work their way up the losers bracket. If we see them in the grand finals, it's going to be spectacular. The fact that they just given themselves a loss this early on into the tournament, but we'll see. Let's just take it with a pinch of salt right now. Let's not have any high expectations for those guys. We don't know why that their third player was unable to make it, but hey, it is what it is. So it's looking like now that the next game that we should be playing, if I'm correct, is going to be One Punch Wonders versus Schism on No Balls. Now, let me just have a quick look at what these team composition is. It is so we're going to have it's that Survival Hunter Arms Warrior Discipline Priest team that we were talking about. That's pretty interesting. And they're going to be going up against like One Punch Wonders, which is going to be Living Force's team, the man of the hour himself, the guy who brought this whole tournament together, organized it for you guys, got you all guys all signed up, and they're going to be playing Rogue, Priest, Druid. So that's going to be FMP they're going to be pulling out right there. I'm not sure what CC the FMP has in this bracket other than what the Priest and the Rogue bring. I'm not sure what the Feral actually brings in this bracket. Maybe you can enlighten me, though. Moran, do you have any idea what CC Ferals still have available to them? Pretty sure they have Entangling Roots.
Actually, Ferals I don't think have any CC abilities. They might have Entangling Roots, but I don't even think they have Roots. And yeah, I mean, again, Ferals are more like an AoE damage class now. At least that's how you're supposed to play it at like max level. They do have like Rip, they do have Predator Swiftness, so they can get out some heals. But outside of that, I mean, their damage abilities are just very limited. Their utility, is very limited. The only CC ability they have is Entangling Roots. So pretty much they're just very one-dimensional class. They just do damage and then heal with their damage, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, while they're just missing the tools, I think, that make them good later on, especially since they don't have like a reliable stun that they can use. So I think this comp is just gonna have to just pretty much just train down one target the entire time.
But I just want to point out as well that you do have to realize that they still have Wild Charge available to them now. I can imagine that Feral being the main target of choice for the enemy team rocking that Survival Hunter Warrior composition, because it's going to be easy to get the time on target. And if a Feral's sitting in cat form, especially with the amount of damage that the other guys can put out, he's going to get punished really hard. Playing against a Discipline Priest as well, unless Living decides to play Holy. I'm not sure what's the better healer in the bracket for actual HPS. But, having that Wild Charge in bear form, that should be able to root people. They do have Entangling Roots there as well. They have Incap Roar, I think. No, sorry, that's wrong. That's Guardian Druid. They don't have Incap Roar, but you do have to notice as well that they do have Healing Touch. No Reju, but they have Healing Touch now. So if they're able to kite well enough, maybe if their healer like Living in this instance is going to be sitting those CC chains, with a Trap Fear they've got, because they've got Stormbolt Trap Fear, maybe Shockwave Trap Fear. He's got his own self-sufficiency if he can position himself well, if he's the target of choice. So I mean, there is a chance of survival here, but I'm pretty sure that the Arms Warrior Survival Hunters should be able to take this. Granted, even though the mage has a lot of CC, just the raw damage, I don't feel that healers in this bracket are going to be able to out-heal that. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I put this in favor of their Survival Hunter team, just because I think having that CC, having that like very reliable, and especially since all the CC especially since all the CC from the KFC like synergizes so well. I mean, you have stun into trap into fear. It's going to be very difficult for Living Force to do anything effectively during this matchup. I mean, he's going to probably need to trinket very early on, and even if they can live to the next CC setup, I mean, that's pretty much where they're going to die. They need to win basically in a minute or less, or I'm sorry, like 30 seconds or less, because
that's all they've got.
Once DRs come back up, I mean, there's nothing they can do.
I think that's going to be it too, but if Living can do a great job, granted on the second tier now, I'm pretty sure that he gets Feather on that tier as a Discipline Priest, so if he can kite the Survival Hunter well enough, if he's not the target of choice, I mean, I would CC him if it was me playing that, I'd hit the Feral. So if Living can kite the Hunter well enough, he maybe can stay out the range of those traps, and if he can avoid some CC, maybe it's going to buy his team some time to be able to set something up, because that Fire Mage having that Dragon's Breath, that potential triple CC into Poly, it's going to be really, really devastating.
Is it a Fire Mage? I thought it was a Feral Rogue Priest versus the Survival Hunter Warrior Priest.
Oh, I thought it was FMP. Oh, okay, interesting. So they got the Rogue.
Hey, let me check both teams right now.
Mhm.
Living Force is running that rogue feral. I can confirm that, so I'm just gonna go to the other gates. Um, yeah, it's a KFC versus the feral cleave. The feral rogue is actually, I mean, people used to call it Scooby Doo cleave. Oh wait, no, never mind. That was something that was Ret Rogue. So, because like it's like Ret Rogue, Rut Row, Scooby Doo cleave, but that's not what we're dealing with. But yeah, it looks like it is going to be a
Okay.
survival hunter warrior against feral rogue, which is a really weird matchup. I mean, these are I think the two most like unique comps of this tournament by far.
And I think they're going to be the most bland as well too, with a lack of CC that they have. No casters. I hate to see train composition, but here we go, and the gates are open. As you can see, you've got it's not SND Cleave, but it's going to be the Survival Hunter team that are taking that left pillar there. One punch wonder. You can see Living Force hiding behind that pillar there. He does not want to get anywhere near the Hunter and Warrior of the opposing team, because if he gets anywhere near them, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. They're just kind of just waiting it out at this point in time, trying to pick the right opportunity to open. You can see both the Feral and the Rogue in a very passive position right here. What do you think is going to be their opening move here, Moran?
Well, I think Magoo just needs to get a sap onto the priest, and so that means Living Force can push in. But yeah, once the CC chain gets rolling onto Living Force, it's gonna be very difficult for his team's gonna need to pop a lot of defensive cooldowns. If they train the rogue, the feral I don't think has any defensive cooldowns, so he's just gonna need to kite away. But right now, I think Magoo just needs to kind of push in, and they need to push in as a team once they get the sap. And if you're wondering why this opener is taking so long, hunters aren't allowed to like pet bug, which means they're not allowed to send their pet in and get combat. So Magoo has all the time in the world to get a sap. Looks like he is going to be pushing in just a moment, maybe looking to get a sap on this priest, and then maybe Living Force could push in on his mount. He does sap the hunter. That's going to prevent the reflare, I think, during its duration. Maybe not, but in any case, I think Magoo does pop his sprint. It looks like he is going to be sapping the priest. No, he doesn't get a sap on the priest. A little bit of a mistake, if you ask me. They are going to open up on the warrior. He's taking a ton of damage. He does have an overpowered proc. It looks like he's putting some damage into Magoo, who has Shockwave, Fear coming out, and Living Force did just trinket a CC. Forced to trinket out of that freezing trap. He's going to top Magoo off right here, spamming those heals. But now the Feral's taking a ton of damage, and this is exactly what I expected. This KFC just doing too much damage for Living Force to deal with, and next CC is going to be definitely death for his team.
The Sailboat's hitting the full blind though, but the Feral Druid does go down. Maybe they can pull something off it. Maybe Magoo can get a sap on this. Maybe no. The Fear comes out. If you can sap off that, there is some potential to kill. The Trinket comes out there, and it looks like the KFC team are going to be able to take this first game. I mean, like we said, the Feral Druid is so squishy against this. You can see in the beginning there, Pirate Ship up on that Hunter. He just racked up a couple of those Mongoose bite procs up over onto the road, caught his defensives, allowing them to potentially swap later if they didn't score the kill on the Feral with those high Mongoose bite stacks. It was just one short CC that come out there onto Living, and he did trinket it, but the Feral just went down straight through. I think it was the blind, actually, that ended him there. Real shame.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't agree with what Magoo. I mean, this team, he was spending a lot of time like trying to get that sap at the beginning, and just didn't get the sap. Like, I hate to see plays like that, because I think, you know, if you're this feral rogue, you're again on this timer, and you need to be as aggressive as possible in that duration. So Magoo needs to just look and get a sap on the priest as fast as possible, and then Living Force needs to come mounted in and get ready to fear off that sap. And I think that's going to be how they win a lot of these games, is just with this really early momentum, doing as much CC as possible. And I think the warrior is the best kill target. And actually, they could go priest if they wanted to, but I think they need to just push in really early when the enemy team is stacked, get that AoE fear, and just get some momentum off that fear.
Yeah, I think so too. They really need that early on momentum, because I mean, if they're not getting that early on momentum, they're gonna have a lot of trouble trying to be effective later on in the game. If it was up to me, I mean, I would just train Sailboat and I'd try CC the Hunter. You know, you got Sap, Blind, Fear, and everything for that Hunter. I mean, I'd just go all in on the priest here. Being a disciplined priest, you know, there's definitely a lot of potential to score a kill on him here. But hey, we'll see. Who knows? And as you can see, Magoo and the Feral there, Natix is both hiding in stealth there. You see Living Force taking the bottom stance at this point, at the bottom of that pillar, the flare on top of the whole team of Schism right now. They do not want to go anywhere they don't want to push away from that flare because they don't want to like expose themselves. And there it is. The sap comes out, but the stealth does break down Magoo, and the opening damage coming out onto DJ Hulk here. The half gouge coming to Sailboat here as well. Maybe he's going to get followed up. I'm not too sure. A lot of damage being thrown out there onto the Ferals. Double fear coming out on that. That wasn't the PvP trinket. Living did manage to hold it there. Triple fear though from Living coming out over onto Schism there, and the half blind coming out to Sailboat. DJ Hulk's in a lot of trouble right now. Maybe he's going to score a kill here. Who knows? Shadowman got denied there onto Living Force. Maybe he's going to be in some trouble now. Dash coming out there from Natix. He looks like he's just about going to survive. Magoo is now in trouble himself. And he just go down. He must have just got hit by an execute there. That's really unfortunate. I mean, he was just 30% as he got hit by the execute. That's 1% difference. He was 1% higher, than he wouldn't have gone down there. So that's really unfortunate there for One Punch Wonder. And it looks like this Schism going to take that series 2-0. Not to my surprise.
And what happened to Living Force? I mean, Magoo got the sap, but Living Force wasn't immediately on top of the Priest following that. And so Living Force, I think, was forced to I think he trinketed a Shockwave or something. But anyway, no, he didn't trinket the Shockwave. He got Shockwaved into a Fear. So Living Force wasn't able to get the Fear immediately off the sap. He took a full Shockwave, got feared, had to trinket that. But the AoE damage that the KFC was able to do is pretty crazy. I mean, they're swapping very quickly to like multiple times. I mean, I couldn't even keep up with who they're attacking. Everyone was so low on HP. Living Force actually hit a few times during that matchup. And so, I mean, the damage, again, from the Survival Hunter and Arms Warrior is pretty nuts. And I think, if I had to say that, if there's one team, again, that I would be scared of, it would be the Survival Hunter team, just because the burst damage they can do, especially with the CC of that comp, is absolutely insane.
Yeah, it really is insane, because they do have the CC and they have the damage there as well. It's just so much to handle, especially at these lower level brackets where you've not got all the defensives that your class needs to be able to survive that kind of punishment. I can see that Survival Hunter team going pretty far in this tournament, just to the raw fact of the 3 non-DR CCs and damage. I mean, I think that they've got a good shot at taking this whole thing. But with that being said, that will mean that One Punch Wonders is going to go down into the losers bracket, and Schism No Balls are going to progress into the second round. And they should be going up against SMD Cleave at some point, but that's not going to be the next game. I'm expecting the next game to be Enjoy the Silence versus Win or DDoS. Now, I just want to take a quick look at those compositions there. Enjoy the Silence, if I remember rightly, they're going to be rocking that comp. I've not got it on my list. I mean,
think it might be. I think it might be that that Korean comp. That one with the Korean name from before. I think it might be Original on an Outlaw Rogue, FX on a Fire Mage, and Bop on a Disc Priest. That might be who we're seeing. And then Winner DDoS is a Disc Priest Fire Mage Survival Hunter. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know. Let me check if Fire Mages have Dragon's Breath.
They do. Level 28, they get Dragon's Breath, I'm pretty sure. I checked that out. I mean, that's going to be devastating. All of that CC there, you can cross CC the Poly Trap, and just 3v1, double fear off. There's going to be a lot of potential there. Like, a lot of CC potential with insane amounts of damage, because we know how hard Fire Mages are hitting in this bracket as well. All the constant damage that they've got, and the spread damage when they want it there as well.
Yeah, and they also have access to Combustion, which is their primary offensive cooldown. Combustion, Fire Mages rely heavily on getting crits, because when they get crits, they get Hot Streak. When they get two Hot Streak buffs, so when they get 2 crits in a row, they can use a Pyroblast, Instacast Pyroblast, and it hits harder than a normal Pyroblast. And what Combustion does is it's a 100% crit chance on them for 10 seconds, and or maybe that's not the case. Anyway, it's a buff. Maybe it doesn't affect 39s actually, because it says granting you mastery equal to your critical strike chance. Oh, so no, it does increase your critical strike chance by 100%. So yeah, so they pop their Combustion. They're able to get guaranteed crits, which is really important, especially with their first talent. So they have a talent. If they don't have Combustion, they're at least guaranteed to get a crit with their talent called Firestarter, which increases their crit chance of their Fireball by 100% to targets above 85% HP. So they can get a guaranteed Pyro on targets above a certain health percentage, which is really important for getting their damage rolling. So, this Fire Mage, if he's left unchecked, is going to be doing a lot of damage. But I anticipate that he is just going to get trained by this outlaw rogue, and it's going to be very difficult to land any sort of meaningful burst when you're getting kicked by an outlaw rogue and potentially a fire mage. But I'm really interested to see how much damage the Survival Hunter Fire Mage is able to do. I think that's going to be scary damage. I think that's a very one-dimensional comp because a lot of their CC does DR with multiple spells on that team. But if they're able to just do damage, I think that's going to be a very scary team to deal with just if they're left unchecked.
Yeah, I think so for sure, but I'm just so worried about that triple Dragon's Breath if they push in, because what I've noticed in this meta, I've noticed it more at endgame, because I've not played much Fire Mage myself. I do have one, but I've not played a lot of it because I've been focusing on my other classes. But what I have noticed is when I've been watching people playing on the beta, is that any Fire Mage team, if they actually run at the healer, that force playing, the caster melee composition, which is what they're running here, with that survival hunter up on that melee, is run at the enemy's healer, and that forces all of the players from the other team to come back defensive to peel the melee off their healer, which opens up a huge opportunity to get a triple Dragon's Breath and either one, choose to cleave damage, or two, you can get that free poly off because you've got the triple Dragon's Breath, So that triple Dragon's Breath into poly, then trap on another guy every 30 seconds, that's going to be devastating, really, really devastating. So if they can even pull that off even once, they're going to get so much out of the enemy team. So I don't know, but then again, it's RMP, having that ranged quote-unquote kidney shot that these outlaw rogues are running with now. I mean, it could go either way, but I kind of want to see the Fire Mage Hunter team win this. I really do, because it's not a often comp that you see in the previous meta.
And I've been inspecting these hunters. They're both using the same weapon called Stonespire, and
yeah. So right now we have Enjoy the Silence versus Win or DDoS. On Win or DDoS, we've got on that priest, that hunter, and that mage, and we have Enjoy the Silence rocking that RMP composition. Let's play ball. The gates are now open. Win or DDoS taking the pillar at their side, and so are Enjoy the Silence. And no one's looking to be really aggressive at the moment. Let's keep an eye on the rogue called Mage here. I love how they've changed all the names around. They're pulling some Gurabashi Surf Club tactics right here. I love it when people do this, but it makes my life hell to commentate on these games. It gets so confusing. But anyway, so let's take a look at this rogue. He is the guy we're waiting for. We're waiting for him to try and get a sap on there and get that opener off. I don't think that the mage at this level has invisibility. I'm pretty sure that they don't. So he's not going to be able to get in there uncontested at all. No spectral guys being in the game either, so you're not going to go in there and get a triple fear either. So it's looking to be a bit of a stalemate at this point. If you did notice, though, the rogue did pop out a stealth there for a second to try and give away his position, maybe trying to bait Win or DDoS to pull out from that pillar on the opposite side. But they are sitting there contently with the flare down, just waiting. They're just going to play the long game, and I think that it's so important for Win or DDoS to have the positional advantage. They need to have that pillar, because if they go without that pillar into the open against the RMP, that's the only way that they're going to be able to lose. You need to play that defensive position. Make sure that they don't get hit by those triple fears, though, and by the priest and Enjoy the Silence. They should be pretty safe.
I just like to point out that the eyes come out in 10 seconds. So, I mean, Mage, or the rogue, needs to make a decision really quick here who he's going to sap, because the eyes are about to come out. I don't know why these rogues are just hanging back.
I think that's fine, Moran. I mean, because when the eyes come out, he knows he's pulling them away from the pillar, and that's his sap opportunity as they go for the eyes. So it's not really going to change much here. I mean, that mage is going to go over. He's probably going to eat a sap if he goes any further out, and he does. The mage gets hit by that sap. Are they going to make a play of it? The fireball is coming out now into I Can't Breathe. Oh, Block and GGA is going straight in. The full trap going out to this one priest here, but the cheap shot coming out onto the survival hunter here. Shadow Men being thrown out by Surdudes onto the hunter. Double Dragon's Breath coming out to both DPS side. The rogue taking a lot of damage. The mage blocking and cancelling it there to try and be defensive, to try and keep his rogue alive. Polly coming out to the priest, which he does. Trinket though, next CC onto the priest and Enjoy the Silence. That means it could be potentially game. And as you can see, Win or DDoS, they're playing that defensive game. They're going to fall back, wait for those DRs now, and then they're going to go Enjoy the Silence with full DRs available, and they're hoping to take the game.
The hunter needs to pull his pet. The hunter's pet just died for free, and I think the mage is able to get a proc off that. Maybe a triple Dragon's Breath coming out onto this RMP. Looks like he might be followed up by a fear. Yeah, fear comes out from this priest, gets a full fear onto the rogue and the priest of this RMP. Mage, who is the rogue, is taking a lot of damage right now. It looks like he is going to be able to get topped off. They're kind of kiting back a bit. It looks like the priestess is sitting on top priests are kind of sitting on top of their mages to prevent any sort of CC chains from coming out. Actually, I Can't Breathe just ice blocked aggressively, trying to finish off this rogue. This rogue taking a lot of damage, getting just chunked down by this survival hunter. looks like he's maybe going for a re-stealth. I don't know if he's going to be able to get that. Just chopping a little bit away at this hunter. He does get a re-stealth. I think that might have been off a Shadow Meld or something. He's going to open up on this hunter. Triple DB coming out. Looks like the mage might be able to get a CC on the priest. Yes, the priest is CC'd for this RMP. The rogue got a re-stealth though. Priest taking a lot of damage. The mage of this RMP taking a lot of damage.
No, it's the full sap though that came out into the survival hunt. Maybe they can make something off this. And it looks like the Enjoy the Silence has stabilized here. They got this sap. Stun Diaz are available, and you have no Diaz left on the priest either. The cheap shot coming out there. Did a lot of damage going to survival hunt here. They do not catch the half stun to follow though. That's really unfortunate.
Full stun onto Sududes as his hunter might go down. Full poly off of that. The priest did, or the mage did take a CC though. I think the hunter was able to use his heal, but it doesn't look like it's not going to be enough. He is going to go down. You know, almost surviving there with that trap on the mage. But yeah, that was a really weird reself. And you know what? I want to say the catalyst to that was his pet dying. If he had better pet control early on in that game, he'd have been able to keep combat. This rogue was just getting re-stealths just off because of Shadow Meld, or not Shadow Meld. Night Elves, not many people, I guess some people know this, but Night Elves do have a combat bug where they randomly drop combat in the arena, so he's getting a lot of re-stealths off of that, but you know, the hunter's pet dying just allowed him to get sapped like an idiot in the middle of that game, so it's kind of embarrassing, especially since his team seemed to have a lot of momentum and seemed to be winning that for the majority of that exchange, but kind of sloppy play by the Survival Hunter team. But yeah, really good job by the RMP at the end, getting that CC chain on the enemy priest, starting with that Between the Eyes. It was a Between the Eyes into a Polymorph cast, and then presumably the mage had a Dragon's Breath out or something, or if they had a Fear out. So yeah, really good job by this team. And yeah, this is really, I was like, maybe this won't be that hard to shoutcast with the names, but oh my god, it's like so difficult. It's like Rogue is taking a lot of damage. I mean the Rogue, not Rogue. But yeah, bear with us again. This is harder than
it's what the players do. They do. I swear they do this just to like really annoy us guys. I mean, it doesn't make no sense. I mean, you know, the enemy team's just going to go hit the mage. Not,
yeah.
You don't really when you're playing the game, you don't call people's names out in arena.
Right. We're not being we're not being personal here. Like we say the, like we use that whatever you call that thing.
It's like a conjunctive. Whatever it's called. I don't know, man. I've not done English in school. But anyway, the gates are open, and it looks like that the Win or DDoS going to take that center pillar there, but the mage from Enjoy the Silence is taken there. He gets him double Dragon's Breath, comes out there. He's not going to fall that onto a poly onto Serduz also. That was kind of wasted. Poly coming out onto the mage there and Enjoy the Silence. The Fireball cast is coming out there. The full trap coming out now onto the priest of Enjoy the Silence, forcing that trinket into the Shadow Meld to avoid any fall. The poly coming out onto the rogue there, and the full blind is coming out onto Serduz. The hunter's taking so much damage now. Exhilaration comes out there, and he managed to pick himself back up into a full poly. Trinket coming out there, the penance cast does come out there, and he manages to survive by the skin of his teeth. As you can see, the retaliation ability, I forgot what it's called, an Outlaw Rogues, has been popped, and he's taking a lot of damage here. Full poly coming out to the mage, catching that dispel though by that Discipline Priest. That block coming out there, instantaneously getting cancelled, and a full fear coming out onto the mage there and Enjoy the Silence. Great job there by Serduz, but it took a while for the priest to dispel that. And the fear coming out onto Serduz. If they can follow this up with a polymorph, maybe they're going to be able to score a kill into the hunter. It could potentially be a cross kill as well. And the hunter does go down, but so does the rogue. He's a cross kill. It's a mirror. Fire mage. Priest. Where's his fire mage? Priest?
Resident sleeper. Like, this is going to take forever.
Wow.
And by the way, I'd just like to interject that the word we are looking for is determiner. So the word the and the word like a, like is a determiner. So if these guys just use the proper determiner, they should have no problem sticking to their targets.
Gotcha.
But yeah, this is going to be a really long matchup, I'm anticipating. Maybe not sure, though. Yeah, because Suddude is just stuck into CC. He is stuck in that full root, finally deciding to dispel himself. I don't know if he got interrupted there. No, he didn't get interrupted on his casts. And so, but his partner's taking a lot of damage. Gets full defeated. This might actually be death. He is forced to ice block. Let's see if he can get a polycast off of this. Full or half fear. I'm sorry. He's still DR'd from DB. The mage does get locked out on his polycast. A really good job by iCamp stopping that. But we'll see if they can get a CC out. And it does look like there's a full fear. This is going to be very scary. They just need to do as much damage as possible to this mage to finish him off during that polymorph duration. Doesn't look like they're able to get the repoly. There was a gap in that CC, bit of a mistake leaving that gap. I don't know if the mages are playing with Cold Snap and how many blocks I Can't Breath has, but he's taking a lot of pressure. The priest on the RMP is stuck into a full polymorph. It does break to a Shadowward Pain. Maybe they're swapping to the priest. I'm not exactly sure what that's all about, but it looks like none of these mages, both these mages are down at least one ice block. So that's going to be quite scary if, later on in this game, it looks like a full polymorph is onto Suddudes. He is sitting that. It doesn't look like he's going to be repolyed, instead put into the half fear. And I don't think there's going to be any more CCF following that. He does look like he's just playing very defensively with his mage, just constantly kiting around and trying to avoid some damage.
I do think that Win or DDoS, they really need to take the offensive role at this point, because who can be the aggressor is going to win. But the double Dragon's Breath polymorph coming out onto the mage, and I don't know why he polymorphed the mage. He could have got a free poly onto the priest there and gone for the mage, with both mages having no blocks left available. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of the mages are playing with Cauterize and not Cold Snap. But I could be wrong. I've seen a couple of people running around Orgrimmar with that. But anyway, back into this game, the Dragon's Breath coming out onto Serdus. Does it get followed by a poly? It does. The full poly lands. There should be a lot of damage that should be coming out here onto I Can't Breathe. He does get denied on that fireball, blinking away, just trying to hold that line of sight position. It doesn't look like they managed to follow up with any kind of aggression at all. But as you can see, the priest from Enjoy the Silence was getting a quick eat off there around the pillar. A great job there by him. He managed to get a couple of ticks there. Because he's been so offensive with those dispels. Look at the mana difference between both of these priests. The poly coming out there, though, does manage to get line of sighted there by the priest and Enjoy the Silence. Great job there. I Can't Breathe and Serdus are both hit by a double fear right now. I Can't Breathe's going to be in a lot of trouble. He has nothing left available. Blinking back to the pillar, desperately catching that power word shield coming out by Serdus there. He almost went down, and maybe he still could. Shadowman coming out. The CS was available, but he chooses to use the Dragon's Breath there instead. He manages to get that Shadow Mend off, though, but straight into that full poly. I Can't Breathe. He's not out of trouble just yet, and this could be it. The offensive Penance coming out. The dots are being thrown in at him. There it is, the Cauterized proc, but is it going to be able to survive? I don't think so. Serdus in so much trouble. The full mind control onto Serdus, and as you can see, that mage does go down. Fantastic play there by Enjoy the Silence. They was by far the most dominating out of that mirror going on right there. They was so dominating for the whole course of that 2v2, and rightfully so. They took that game. They deserve it. That's going to be 1-0 to Enjoy the Silence. 2-0.
Yeah.
2-0.
Cauterize is a weird talent choice. I don't know. I mean, it seemed like it saved him, but it actually like kind of killed him at the end. Cauterize is only good if you can use it, like if you can use it with your ice block. You know, like if you can dip in HP, then ice block off the Cauterize debuff. But the Cauterize wound up like killing him. Like his own talent, he got backstabbed by his own class right there, because that Cauterize dot just like took him down, and he tried to bandage and it got interrupted by the Cauterize dot. Yeah. So poor guy just getting killed by his own class. We don't encourage suicide here on NWL, but we just witnessed something, some self-harm right there. So poor mage, but yeah, so a really good job by the RMP priest and mage being really aggressive in that 2v2, and that's exactly how you need to play. I like that priest is offensively dispelling. I mean, he had half his mana, and the other priest was sitting at full mana. It's because, as you mentioned, he's just sitting there spam offensive dispelling, and that's exactly what you need to do to win these 2v2 situations. You cannot be defensive because the game's going to go nowhere. So yeah, really good job by that priest
Enjoy
mage.
the Silence. It was the priest mage to Enjoy the Silence that actually took that in the end, but that does make it 2-0 in the series, and they're going to progress further into this tournament through the upper bracket. Now, congratulations, Enjoy the Silence. And Win or DDoS, they're going to still be in the tournament, guys, but they're going to drop down to the lower bracket, and maybe they can make a comeback up and through there. Who knows? We'll have to find out. But I'm just going to want to check to see if the brackets are updated. I'm not too sure. But anyway, we're looking to get into the next game really, really soon. Now, the next game, I'm pretty sure that it should be Q Main or Dem 7T boys. Now, I mean, these compositions, have you taken a look at these compositions yet, Moran?
Yeah, Q Main is an RMP again, a fire RMP with an outlaw rogue. I don't know what the boys are. I think that might have been one of like the late entries, or like a team that had to redo their roster or something. So I don't have much information about that. I'll try to check, but let me see.
Oh, what? I'm just getting some information now, some intel saying that the Den 7T boys, they're not available to play like at all. So that's just going to instantly mean that Q Main, they're going to progress further into the tournament. They're going to go into round 2 of the upper bracket, and Dem 7T boys are going to go down into the losers bracket, and they're also going to lose the game there, meaning they are disqualified. And whoever's managed to be in their bracket, in the losers bracket, gets a free game. So congratulations, whoever you are. So I'm not too sure in that case what the next game is going to be.
Yeah, we're either going to go to losers round 1 or we're going to go to round 2 of winners bracket. I don't know.
The way we usually do this, Moran, we usually keep as much as we can in the upper bracket first. You know, usually we'll go through round 2 first, so that'd be game 7 and 8, and then we go down to the losers bracket and do that.
Yeah.
That's usually how we function with this.
Yeah,
But,
no one wants to see losers, man. Like, get out of here.
exactly. Who wants to see those? I
No,
sure
we don't support mediocrity.
I know, right? But I mean, let's just take a hypothetical sense here. So in round 2, in game number 7, that's going to be Schism or No Balls versus SND Cleave. And if my thoughts are right, that's going to be our next game. So let's take a quick look at both of those teams, both their compositions, and let's just kind of spitball some of our thoughts as to what's available and, you know, who should emerge victorious. So SND Cleave, what are they playing right now? They're going to be playing that Outlaw Rogue, the Balanced Druid, and the Disc Priest. They are playing that Dancing with the Stars composition. And I really like that composition with the Druid having Solar Beam. You know, the Root Beam's great. Doesn't DR with absolutely anything. Yeah, it's on a minute cooldown, but it does line up with Fear. I mean, Fear, now, I'm pretty sure that it's a minute cooldown, and you can't get the reduced cooldown until level 45, thus meaning that's lining up really, really well. So that's going to be Root Beam into Fear or Fear into Root Beam, you know. I think that's a really, really good synergy with those two classes there alone, but having the Outlaw Rogue as well, with the Between the Eyes from that ranged kidney shot that we were talking about earlier, and having the cheap shots and the blind available, so much CC that this comp can have. So yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to do pretty well, regardless as to what they're facing.
They're facing a KFC, and it's a Survival Hunter Arms Warrior, which again, I think that if I had to, like, on paper, I think that's the scariest comp in this tournament. Just because how much damage and how effective their instant cast CC is. I mean, it's just one thing after another. It's Shockwave or Stormbolt into Trap into Fear, and you know that's a lot of CC that you have to sit through, and you're pretty much forced to trinket that as a healer with how high the burst damage is and how little defensive cooldowns your teammates might have. So if they can land that CC setup at the very beginning of the game as early on as possible, it's going to be really good for them looking forward in that matchup. And again, these Survival Hunter teams just seem to do so much pressure. It's just such sustained damage too, especially with that Arms Warrior. The Survival Hunter is just doing a ton of burst damage. The Arms Warrior is gradually chunking someone down. So I think those two classes seem to synergize really well together. But as you mentioned, Survival Hunters are extremely squishy. I don't know if they have Aspect of the Turtle at this level, but if that's pretty much their only defensive cooldown outside of like Feign Death or something. They don't even have Aspect of the Turtle, so I think their only defensive cooldown is Feign Death and I guess Exhilaration. They have a self-heal and a target drop. So that's not very much compared to something like the Outlaw Rogues, whatever that thing is.
Riposte, it's called. Riposte, yeah.
That's, you know, that avoids a lot of damage compared to something like Feign Death. I mean, Feign Death will only avoid like a very short amount, like a very small amount of damage compared to these other major defensive cooldowns, you know, such as Riposte, Evasion, Ice Block, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So, you know, if they can lock down the Survival Hunter, it's going to be, I think that's like their optimal strategy. One of the things I was going to say earlier on is I'm really surprised that a lot of these teams aren't going for kills on the Disc Priest. I know Disc people don't often think about training the Disc Priest, but especially as like hunter comps, it's actually pretty effective. If you just, especially if you're playing with a priest as well, if you just focus on like full DR trapping a DPS on cooldown and training that Disc Priest, that priest is under so much pressure that his partner has to pretty much trinket that CC into maybe like a Fear or any sort of follow-up. And the priest is just under so much pressure that they're unlikely to dispel that follow-up CC. And so I think that's one of the strategies that maybe these teams should be considering, is just going really offensive on these disc priests, because I don't know how well their passive survivability is, but I mean, I would be terrified if I was getting trained in the tournament. I mean, that doesn't sound like a fun time. A lot of people are playing. A lot of people are kind of playing on nerves right now. Even though it doesn't seem like it's like a major tournament, but it's definitely, you know, you don't play at 100% in these situations, and you know, your decision making is dramatically affected by you getting trained. So
yeah, I mean, you are right. I was saying this earlier, like the train the priest strategy, and I think it was in the first round actually when it was SND Cleave going up against the I can't remember what the composition was. No, that was a 2v3, right? It was another survival hunter team anyway. I was talking about, you know, just CCing the DPS. So it was the mage, the fire mage hunter team when I was saying, you know, the dragon's breath into trap, one DPS, poly on another, and then go hard on a healer, or poly a healer, blah blah blah. But the concept stands, you know, when you've got that kind of CC and a survival hunter utilizing that trap onto a DPS and just riding that healer, he's under so much pressure he can't afford the globals. Otherwise he'll die himself. So, you know, and if, like the classes that are being CC don't have a lot of CC themselves, it's actually pointless to dispel them, because if you dispel them, they're not going to be able to peel because they don't have the CC to, you know. So it's real against some compositions, especially that strategy is going to be really, really strong, especially at this level with the lack of abilities that they have in comparison to the higher level counterparts. But it does look like that we've got a pop now, and we're going into Blades Edge Arena. I love to see Blades Edge, and usually in these tournaments, guys, as you know, if you guys have watched our tournaments in the past and other arena tournaments, you know that we always start on the Grand Arena. But again, with this add-on being in the Legion pre-patch, we can only queue random arena. We can't queue specific arenas or anything because it's not optimized for this patch.
And I'd like to point out one thing, really one very nuanced thing about this matchup. The hunter is playing with a carrion bird pet, and it's the only carrion bird pet accessible at lower levels that has a Mortal Strike effect. So this KFC actually has 2 Mortal Strikes on their team. I don't think they stack, but you know, if they keep those on multiple targets, and they do any sort of AoE damage, which they've been doing in the past, it's going to be very difficult to heal through. But it looks like the Rogue is going to get caught out by this hunter after getting that sap on the priest. Rogue taking a lot of damage, getting Shockwave, is forced to trigger that. You know, this is pretty standard opener. The priest on the Boomkin Rogue is forced to trigger it as well, so any sort of follow-up CC is definitely going to spell trouble. Full blind comes out on the sailboat as his warrior is taking a lot of damage, does get war stomped off. He's barely living right now. He does have that Roar Sacrifice up, and is going to go down following that that Blood Elf silence from the Rogue. So that was really weird.
Yeah, SND Cleave, they just went in there and they was just relentless. I mean, they just abused all the CC that they've got. They knew they had so much CC available that doesn't DR, that Blood Elf Blanket Silence, that Root Beam, you know, they had the Blind, they had the Fear, and I mean, they just chucked it all into that Priest and just went all in onto the Warrior of all classes. I mean, I was expecting them to go on the Hunter, but maybe they was deterred from doing that because of the Exhilaration, because of that huge heal. It's a 30% HP heal, and I mean, that could be a make or break when you're just going all in like they did. So maybe it is a wise choice to go onto the Warrior there, to be that arm spec. You know, I don't think that he has any defensives in the bracket. Am I right? Am I pretty right in saying that, Moran?
Yeah. The Warrior, I don't think has any defensive cooldowns.
Just Heroic Leap, actually, and he has his Shockwave. He probably should be holding that Shockwave defensively against this. He may have learned his lesson. I hope that he has, because if he holds that defensively, that's his only chance of survival, I do think. And there was CC that did get overlaps there, and you have to notice that Nerflos's Fear and the Rogue's Blind got overlaps there. But what was pretty interesting to me, I'm pretty sure the Fear came out first, and then he blinded. He must have done it at the same time, but both of them sat a full duration Fear and Blind. I could be wrong, but I've seen them both on there at the same time. It may have been a half Fear, but it most definitely was a full blind, and that kind of raised some question marks above my head. And I don't think that's supposed to happen, but hey, it's Dalaran Sewers. This is going to go into the favour of SND Cleave, in my opinion. Such a small map, great map for line of sighting damage and really mitigating and playing that defensive role, and that's what they need to do here.
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as LOS is concerned, that Boomkin did so much damage last game. I think he's just like kind of left unchecked by this team. It does look like this rogue is able to get an early sap out onto this priest. It's probably going to get followed up by an AoE fear. Does get feared up. He is deciding to trinket that. It's going to blow his fear in response. So now both these priests have their fear on cooldown. It looks like this rogue is getting trained down in full war stomp. He is able to get a vanish off, but he has a full riposte up on himself right now. He's going to be taking dramatically reduced damage from this melee cleave. If I was this melee cleave right now, I would just kind of stay back behind this box, exactly like what they're doing. DJ Hulk is playing very passively, exactly what I think he needs to be doing. He is taking a lot of damage. Full solar beam with the root comes out onto the priest. It does look like DJ Hulk is going to die through this, but they might be able to get a counter kill on Validos. Validos does, I think, go down. Yeah, so there was, we had a cross kill. So now it's Survival Hunter Priest versus Boomkin Priest. Again, potentially another resident sleeper thing, but I think this is in the advantage of the the Survival Hunter Priest, because they have a bit more reliable CC. And so if the Survival Hunter's okay, he just lobbed a trap randomly right now, and the priest ran into it. So he I think he like whiffed the trap, and the priest is like, okay, I'm gonna gift you this full CC. If he is able to get feared, a full fear following that, Gel Boomy is gonna be trained. He is forced to use his Bark Skin dash, and I think he might actually go down here. It looks like he might actually get picked up by his priest. The power shield comes out. Priest is able to spam those Shadow Men, so I think he will be fine. But that was quite scary. I mean, the priest kind of gave him the CC for free by walking into that trap. Hey, another full trap comes on to Nerflos. Gel Boomy's just taking so much damage, and I don't think he's playing. Yeah, he's playing with Renewal. He's not playing with Displacer Beast or Wild Charge. He's playing with a 3-minute cooldown. He might actually go down here. So yeah. He did go down. He didn't have Displacer Beast or Wild Charge to get away. Playing with that 3-minute cooldown, investing a lot into that. He was able to do a lot of damage throughout that matchup, but in that 2v3, he wasn't able to do much at all. So now we have the series tied up at 1-1 going into Game 3. And I don't know why I remember reading a 39 guide this morning on. By the way, we're gonna have to restart to maybe take a break in a second. Yeah, so we're probably gonna have to take a 5-minute break. I don't know. Are we gonna? We might be going to music. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, what's going to happen now, guys, is because of this add-on, these problems that we're talking about with the Legion pre-patch, is that it just causes your like a lot of LUA errors and things like that, and you get really, really high, low FPS because of it once it's been active for a while. So, just needs to reboot the game and stuff like that, which is why we have to take this short break so that we can have non-laggy arenas for you guys.
Actually, it looks like we might not be taking that break.
We'll be taking one soon at some point. I can guarantee that. That'll be for certain. But right now, we're going to be able to continue. But yeah, I mean, am I safe to say that was the first game? No, that was the second game, right?
Yeah, that was the second game. So now, yeah, the series is tied up 1-1. But as I was saying, I was reading like one of the Boomkin guides someone submitted on XBoff, and they said that they'd like to play with Renewal for Arena. But I don't. That's not at all, in my opinion, the optimal talent choice. They're like, well, it gives you a nice self heal, but people got to think of like the opportunity cost. I mean, they're losing Displacer Beast, which is a huge talent for avoiding damage. Like the amount of damage you can avoid with a well-timed, well-used Displacer Beast is going to be significantly more than 30% of your HP in the form of a heal. So that Boomkin in that 2v2 was like,
Yeah, Big Run is lagging out right now. You see, this add-on, it's what it does. It causes people to lag, get PS drop and whatnot. But Big Moran, I want to pick up on his point, though. He does have a really good point. I mean, he's talking about the opportunity cost.
Alright, lads, we're having some technical difficulties, and we'll be back very shortly.
darling. We'll turn the lights back on now. We're watching, watching as the credits all roll down. And crying, crying. You know we're playing to a full house. No heroes, villains, one to blame. While wilted roses fill the stage, and the thrill is gone. Our debut was a masterpiece, but in the end, for you and me, hope this show it can't go on. We used to have it all, but now's our curtain call. So hold for the applause. Oh, 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 oh. And wave out to the crowd and take our final bow. Oh, it's our time to go, but at least we stole the show. 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 At least we stole the show.
Guys, we are back, and I'm sorry about that. It was just some technical difficulties that we had with the voice applications and stuff, and this add-on is really, really screwing down the broadcaster's PC right now, so we might suffer some more. We do not know, but this game is up. It's going. The gates are open, and we do have SND Cleave versus Schism. No balls, a full sack coming out of the DJ Hulk, though. Sack getting straight swapped over to Sailboat, and it doesn't look like they've opened just yet now. And the Shockwave coming out onto the Rogue and the Priest at that point. The Trinket instantly coming out there. Vados is taking a lot of damage now. Triple Fear coming out there by Nerfloss. Great job by him. And DJ Hulk is now trouble just yet, going to a half blind. Maybe you can follow that with a Vanish Sap. Who knows? And it does look like the Warrior goes down without that follow-up CC. That half gouge coming out there. Great job by Schism or No Balls in the opener there. Catching absolutely everything out of SND Cleave and scoring the kill. Taking that series 2-1.
I hope you guys enjoyed the slideshow of that game. we had some nice pictures you guys could view during that shoutcasting, but we might be going to another technical break. Again, the add-on's producing so many alleyway errors that it's just, I'm sure, using a lot of memory. The add-ons aren't supposed to use a lot of memory. They're supposed to be add-ons. They're not supposed to be the entire game. So we might take another little bit of a break to figure out how we want to resolve this issue. One of the ways we could do that is
Hello, guys. We are back, and it looks like that we're going to be able to get some games underway for you guys. We're just going to wait for the next team to partake, to get ready, get in the queue, and then get going. And the teams that are going to be playing is Enjoy the Silence versus Q Main, and I do believe that this is going to be in the second round of the winners bracket. Now, let's take a look at these comps. Big Moran, are you there, bro? I've not heard from you.
Yes, I'm here.
You're here, great stuff. So let's take a look at these comps. I mean, Q Main, now they're rocking that RMP Fire Mage, of course, and we have just seen Enjoy the Silence play, I do believe, and they was the team that was rocking the Boomkin Rogue Priest, if I remember rightly. So what are your thoughts on those two compositions going up against each other?
Well, again, it depends on what talent this Boomkin's playing. If he's playing Renewal again, I would just trade the Boomkin from start to finish out this Fire Mage Rogue team, because he's gonna have very limited mobility, and outside of his Bark Skin and Dash, he's just not gonna have many defensive cooldowns. And I think it's gonna be very difficult to deal with this AOE, the AOE CC coming out of this this RMP. Of course, Dragon's Breath does DR with Fear, but those are two, even if they do DR, they're still getting like 6 to 8 seconds worth of CC out of those two abilities. So yeah, I don't know. If I was this RMP right now, I think trading the Boomkin's their best bet. And the Boomkin's gonna be very limited in how much damage he's gonna be able to do. He is gonna be getting those instant cast procs, but that's certainly not as much damage as he could be dealing. But yeah, I think this is definitely the favor of the RMP. They have more reliable CC, I guess, more consistent setups on the healer. So it's going to be very difficult, I think, an uphill battle for this Dancing with the Stars cleave.
Yeah, I think so too. But you do have to remember that the Solar Beam, it can be used as just a blanket with a Root Beam, or it can be locked on cast there as well. So with that being said, I mean, if the Mage in the RMP, he doesn't hold his CS for that Root Beam when that that obvious play is going to be coming out, then I do think that there is a chance for this Dancing with the Stars to win, because I mean, they are rocking the Outlaw Rogue. They do have the cross CC. I mean, in the opener, they can double cheap shot with a sap if they they can find the Rogue. Maybe if they sap the Rogue, that's going to be so huge for the Dancing with the Stars competition. So this, I don't know. I kind of think that on paper, as in if everything goes kind of like mediocre, that the RMP should win. But I do think that if the Dancing with the Stars, they get an opportunity, they can really capitalize on it and punish the RMP team. And if it was me, I think the choice of kill probably is going to be the Rogue. Possibly the Discipline Priest on the RMP team could go down there as well, just with that cheap shot blanket silence and just go hard onto him, then force that trinket straight out of him, and he's still sitting in that blanket silence, And I don't know, I think I have high hopes for this Dancing with the Stars team. I like to see something I like to see the underdogs come through, I like to see, because you see these like high CC heavy teams, with the new Outlaw Rogue with a ranged kidney shot, quote unquote, again. Like, I mean, that's just pretty insane. Just having that in this bracket with the amount of damage, it's just a lot to handle. So I really would like to see Q Main pull something out of the hat. But wait, I do have to point out, Q Main are queuing RMP now, and on paper it does say, no, Enjoy the Silence are queuing RMP. Have we got this wrong?
Wow, dude. RMP Mirror Man, PogChamp, Season 8, Wreckful versus Moonman. No, Moonman ran RLS. This is Hydra. This is this is Complexity.
Hydra, Calibist and Flynn.
This is Complexity versus Dignitas. We're about to witness some intense gameplay, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, okay, so we got that wrong. We got that wrong, dude. I mean, I was sure it was the Dancing with the Stars composition. I'm so confused right now.
I think they changed it up, actually, but maybe...
No, I think Enjoy the Silence. I recognize Enjoy the Silence. I'm pretty sure that's the RMP that's called Rogue Priest Mage, right? That's Enjoy the Silence. So they was queuing that earlier. So I don't know. Whatever. But we're in the game now. It has begun. Let's take a look at Purpur there. He's going to try and look for that sap, then he doesn't manage to get it. He's looking for the Rogue. Both Rogues are desperately trying to pull each other out because they know that that's going to be game-breaking. But do notice the Rogue or Mage was so close at pulling Purpur out of stealth there. But the double Dragon's Breath coming out onto Enjoy the Silence there. The single Dragon's Breath coming out onto Sue with the Mage. Nothing actually gets followed up. And then the full poly coming out onto the Priest of Enjoy the Silence. A lot of damage is going into this Mage now. Catching that Ice Barrier, the Shadow Meld does come out. The Frost Nova bringing him straight out of that meld. The Blink coming out into a great position there. the polymorph is going to come out half onto Rogue, and he's forced to sit there, but the fireballs are being spammed out. Maybe this is going to be the block, and it is. The block coming out there by Enjoy the Signs really early on to this game, into that full fear.
These rogues haven't opened yet. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's some reason for that, but I don't know. I think right now the rogue should be opening. At least force the once one of the rogues opens, he's pretty much forcing the cheap shot from the other rogue. And so I think really right now, since this mage doesn't have ice block, I think the rogue should have opened up right now. But now that hypothermia is off, the mage is playing with cold snap, so he does have another ice block available. But it looks like the priest on the team of GCD Hack or whatever their name is, it just took a full poly while his mage is just sitting there. And right now, I just want the rogue to open up. I mean, this is the perfect opportunity. If he could get the resap off this poly, he doesn't do that. I don't. This is just wacky tobacco mechanics going on right here. I don't know exactly.
That's how he's looking. But the rogue does open up. Purple opening up onto Enjoy the Silence. His rogue there. The full gouge coming out onto him. He's sitting around 60% HP. The triple DR poly coming out onto the priest and Enjoy the Silence. Double Nova coming out though. The Shadow Men being pumped desperately into the rogue there. He doesn't actually catch any health on it, but the single fear coming out onto the rogue. Is he going to go down? He does. He goes from 60% to 0 there. Q main coming out strong there as soon as those rogues opened up. A lot of damage was just being thrown out into Enjoy the Silence, and they managed to score a kill really, really early on into the 3v3 fight. Great play by Q main. I mean,
yeah.
What more can you say?
I realized why I was confused. We didn't see Q main play a game earlier on because the other team had to forfeit due to not showing up. So that's why I was a bit confused. I was like, who the hell are these guys? Have we actually seen these guys? But we didn't. But yeah, that was a weird game. I don't really know what I think after that. Both the rogues just playing very passively, and I guess at the end you could kind of see why they just wound up getting a really quick kill out of one of the rogues. And so I guess none of these rogues just have the balls to really come out of stealth and really force some pressure because they're so worried about dying. Exactly what happened to that rogue at the end there. So yeah, really good job by Q main sort of capitalizing.
I want to point out there though, Moran, is that the priest on Q main's team, Legion Disc, he's playing with Schism. He's not even playing with the defensive penance. And you see most priests play with that defensive penance, so to increase the amount of HPS they can do when necessary. But he's gone for the all-out aggressive spec. Is that the right choice to make in an RMP mirror? I mean, the logic say yes, but I mean, could he get punished for it if he gets locked out later on in the game? I'm not too sure about that Talon choice.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is penance isn't really that big of a heal. Not as much as it used to be. It's definitely, I think, if I had to like make a tier list of like priest heals, I think it'd be kind of near the top, but not completely at the top. I think the powered shield's still really important, but Shadow Men is their primary heal now. Penance actually, I don't think provides that much HPS compared to how much HPS it used to provide. So I think it kind of makes sense playing the aggressive talent. It is kind of a weird talent. What he could be running actually, if you wanted to be really cheeky about it, he could run with the additional tick of offensive penance, but now he has by playing that Schism talent, I think that's on the Shadow School. Yes. So that gives him a spammable offensive ability that's not on the same school as his powered shield. So I can kind of see why he's playing that talent. Allows him to be pretty aggressive without many drawbacks. Of course, if he does get kicked on that, he can't Shadow Men, which kind of sucks, but he still has his plea at penance and powered shield available. So it kind of makes sense, I guess, in this mirror. But yeah, again, I'd like to see these rogues just kind of open up quicker, make the game a bit more like fat. I mean, the game didn't really start until the rogue got cut out of stealth after getting the crystal. So these games, I think if they're the way that they were playing earlier with the 2v2 setup at the beginning of the game, it kind of makes sense. But I'd like to see the rogues open up and take a bit more initiative.
I think so too, but the double Dragon's Breath coming out there onto Legion Disc and Suwu QT, the full poly, he's going to come out there onto Rogue and Enjoy the Silence. That was a bit of a mistake. He kind of just got that poly for free without even investing the Dragon's Breath. The half poly coming out there, bit of damage going into the mage there. Nothing that's going to be too challenging to heal through though. Double Dragon's Breath coming out. No triple DR poly to follow. Triple DR poly going out into Legion Disc. It's a bit of a stalemate. These rogues, again, they are just doing that really, really annoying playstyle. Maybe it's something we don't know, Moran. Maybe that's just how the meta is going to be. Whichever rogue opens up first loses kind of thing. Maybe the damage is that high and the CC chains are that good, who knows? I mean, I've not seen these guys open up earlier, so I've not seen the consequences. The full poly, though, sitting out to the priest and enjoying the silence, going out into that full fear. Maybe a Sapsham he looks to get off there. The Shadow Mail coming out by the mage, desperately trying to hold on to his second block, because I do believe he's already used one. Cheap shot coming out onto the Rogue and enjoy the silence. Purpose doing a great job here. Blanket Sands coming out there, dumping a lot of damage into the Rogue. The Vanish should be caught out there already, and it looks like he's going to go down here with a half blind coming out onto the Rogue. Onto the priest combo, catching that power word shield last minute. Riposte coming out, desperately trying to hang on to his health, but he does go down anyway. And it just looks like that Q main, they are the superior RMP when it comes to a 3-on-3 scenario. They take the game so quickly when they manage to get that opener.
One of these teams kind of made this adaptation that I just thought of in the middle of the game. Once the first polymorph lands onto one of the priests, since the rogues aren't doing anything, they should just resap off of the poly every time instead of having the mage cast a polymorph, because the mage is losing a little bit of damage in that 1.5 seconds that it takes to cast that polymorph. So I think if they are to make one adjustment later on in this tournament, I think that would be something that they should look to do in this RMP mirror. But Q Mains is going to take this series 2-0, I think, pretty convincingly, at least in that second game. So now it looks like we're going to be going on into the losers bracket. We're going to see Whammy House versus One Punch Wonders. And as a reminder, Whammy House was the very first team we saw. It was Disc Priest, Arms Warrior, Outlaw Rogue, and they're going to be playing against One Punch Wonders, which is Disc Priest, Outlaw Rogue, Feral. So two pretty aggressive melee comps. I think if on paper, I think this is in the advantage of Whammy House, since they do have that Shockwave available, which has proven to be pretty valuable in this tournament. Pretty effective form of crowd control. And again, that Feral wasn't able to do much, and Living Force just had a huge problem just keeping his team topped off in the previous matchup against the KFC. So I don't know, that it's going to be an uphill battle, I think, definitely for Living Force's team in this upcoming matchup.
Yeah, I think so too. I do think that just down to comp, they are going to be on the back foot, but you never know. Living Force, and he's not going to pick guys that he doesn't have faith in. He's a very, very well-known player amongst Twinks in the arena community. All the guys who put a lot of effort and time into playing arenas in multiple brackets. Living Force is one of those respectable players that everyone looks up to. Being a great priest, so he's going to pick the right partners for this kind of tournament. So even though they might have a comp disadvantage, maybe with that being said, he could really take advantage of that and kind of play around the enemy team. Maybe some kind of passive aggressive kind of strategy. I'm not too sure what he can do, but I do think that the favor does lie in the Survival Hunter team. I mean, just the raw damage with that Arms Warrior there as well. Like we say, with a Stormbolt, Trap, Fear, it's just a huge combo. He's got a lot of CC to deal with there. Positioning is going to be so key for living in this game. So he needs to keep his eye out for that, and his teammates really need to not drag him out into a bad position. I think that they might have a chance in taking this series in a best of 3. But if this was later on in the tournament, let's say this was the grand finals in a best of 7, I think it would be pretty much safe to say that the Survival Hunter Arms Warrior would take it in the long run. But maybe they can snag 2 surprise games and keep themselves in the tournament at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Again, Ferals, I don't really see. They're just super one-dimensional now. That's something I mentioned earlier on, and I think if Living Force's team does want to do anything throughout this matchup, I think they're going to need to focus on not stacking on top of each other, because those triple shockwaves are going to be quite devastating. And I don't know if Shockwave still works this way, but if Shockwave hits at least, it does work this way still, but if it hits at least 3 targets, its cooldown is reduced by 20 seconds, which is a really big deal. So that's one of the reasons you want to stay spread apart against these warriors and trying to minimize the effectiveness of that Shockwave. And so yeah, but as far as Living Force's team is concerned, I think that Feral really needs to use his mobility and sort of kite any time that Living Force is stuck in a CC, no matter whether or not it's an 8-second CC or 1-second CC. Doesn't matter the duration. He just needs to use his mobility to reduce his damage as best he can during that duration, because it's going to be quite devastating from Living Force's perspective dealing with that damage if it's left unchecked by the Feral.
I think so too, but maybe Feral's not going to be the target of choice. I mean, that rogue, it's looking pretty squishy, lacking mobility. Being an outlaw rogue, he doesn't even have the defensive shadow step that he can use stepping his healer near a pillar or anything.
Wait,
when he's
wait,
sitting CC.
you do have grappling hook though. I mean that's one thing you need to consider. And a lot of these rogues have been using grappling hook in almost every single matchup, but that's if anything, they're relying on their vanish as their primary defensive cooldown. At least in these RMP mirrors, a lot of these rogues are just like instantly trinket vanishing, or vanishing out of the first stun they took, which is exactly what you need to do because of how fast these games tend to play out once the rogue is opened on. But yeah, the rogue does have some defensive tools that he can use in this matchup, specifically tools against melee classes. So I think that's one of the advantages of being a rogue in these matchups is you do have quite a bit to deal with melee damage.
Yeah, I think so too, but I'm not sure whether you agree entirely with the concept of investing Trinket and Vanish at the same time. I think Vanish is the strongest defensive cooldown. Putting that out there with your Trinket, I'm not too sure about that. I mean, I'd probably Trinket Riposte against this mirror composition because while they're dumping all their damage out into you, you're counter-attacking that damage there as well, and you're just going to parry it all. I mean, if your positioning is right and you don't let them get behind you, in this instance, it's definitely going to be very effective, and the Vanish can break as well if there's any dots after the 4-second Vanish state ends.
And we have a quick announcement. Sorry to interrupt, but it looks like we aren't actually going to be playing that matchup at all because I guess Whammy House's third one of the people on their team didn't show up, so it looks like this match is going to go to One Punch Wonders. That was Living Force's team. So
I remember now. Yeah, you're right, because they was in the first round, the guys that tried the 2v3, just in an attempt to wait to play up through the losers bracket. That's right, and the guy was a no-show, like you just said. So you're right, Living Force is going to progress further into the losers bracket now. So the next game,
I think the next game would be game number 6 between Win or DDoS versus We 7T Boys. 70, I see. But remember, Dim 70 Boys didn't show up, so it's probably going to be the semi-final game, maybe, between SMD Cleave and Q Main, which have proven to be obviously they're in the semi-final, so they're pretty good. Okay, so never mind. We're doing losers round 2 first, so our first matchup is probably going to be Enjoy the Silence versus One Punch Wonders.
Interesting.
Wait, is that what we're doing? Yeah, Enjoy the Silence. I don't remember what they were playing. One Punch
RMP,
Wonders.
I think.
Okay. One Punch Wonders was Living Force's team, so Living Force is going to be able to play, so good for him. But yeah, I don't know. I said at the beginning of this tournament that the Feral might be some way to deal with these Fire Mages, but I haven't seen enough of Living Force's team actually compete to know whether or not that's the case. But I think the Feral, because he has so much mobility in this matchup, will be a pretty good asset for just causing pressure on the enemy mage. But in some of these matchups, it looks like the Rogue has been the primary damaging targets for both teams, so maybe they'll just train the Rogue. Or both teams will just try to train the Rogue, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, but I don't know. I've got a soft spot for the old RMPs, so I kind of hope that they take it regardless. But Living Force again, good friend of mine is Living Force, so in this instance, I'm going to have to support him. I want Team Living Force to win. Go Team Living!
And I just thought of something actually. If both these rogues play really passively and kind of sit in stealth, the Feral Priest has a pretty big advantage over the Priest Mage. I think the best thing I think the Feral could do is just immediately open onto the Mage, start getting some combo points, because if he does that, he might be able to force their Rogue to open out of stealth, which means Magoo, the Rogue queuing with the Feral, can open on the other Rogue, and I think that's the setup that they want. And then at that point, the Feral will have some combo points that he could use to Ferocious Bite or rip the target. So I think that is, if I were to say there's one definitive strategy for this Feral Rogue, I think it would be for the Feral to immediately open up on the Mage, get some combo points, start getting some pressure out, and at least force that Rogue to open up. Because if he can force that Rogue to open up, that means that the other Rogue can just cheap shot that Rogue. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting exchange if that's the path they decide to take. But we'll see what these teams decide to do. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes that doesn't happen at all. But we're just gonna have to see how this matchup plays out.
Ironically, more often than not, you're wrong because people just kind of do their own random thing, and it's not really scripted gameplay at this point, especially with it being new content in the Legion pre-patch and all. But I just think some of these players, they also, they don't have massive amounts of arena experience playing the competitions that they're playing, of course. So that can have an impact on the strategies there as well. But you can see the Priest and Enjoy the Silence trying to go in there for a fear, trying to pull that Feral out of stealth. Almost did, but he didn't invest his fear at that point, which is kind of good that he held on to that. Yet was really, really close. So the full snap, though, coming out onto the Feral. This is maybe going to be big. The Penance offensively coming out here now. The Mage doing a significant amount of damage. The Dragon's Breath coming out onto Living Force there. Sat that's come over though onto the Rogue of Enjoy the Silence. The cheap shot comes out. The full fear goes out to Magoo though. Great job there by the Priest and Enjoy the Silence. Really good job. But both the Feral and the Rogue of each team are taking a lot of damage. Who's going to go down first? Full poly coming out over onto Magoo. The Shadowman's being dumped out the half blind, going over onto Big Mammy Whammy there. Natitan's in so much trouble at this point. If there's any follow-up CC, he could go down. There's the full poly onto Big Mammy Whammy. The trinket does come out, catching that power word shield, desperately trying to throw out those heals. The healing touches being pumped out there as well, but it does look like he's going to go down there from the just raw damage that come out there by Enjoy the Silence. So unfortunately, that Dancing with the Stars is going to lose this game. We're going to make it 1-0 to Enjoy the Silence.
And yeah, you called it. That was a really good fear to interrupt the damage from that cheap shot by the Rogue. He stopped quite a bit of damage on the RMP. The RMB Priest stopped a lot of damage onto his Rogue with that fear onto the Rogue and the Feral. It's a really good job. Kind of taking the initiative to save his team with his CC ability instead of just relying on his heals. But yeah, that exchange at the beginning was kind of weird, with the Feral getting sapped out and then the Rogue getting sapped out. So, but again, I don't know. My only concern is I saw that the Feral is using his combo points to
heal.
So what's it called? Put a rip on a target, but I think that's a bit too slow for this matchup. Maybe that's a bit too slow. I know, like, these are two. This is a very bursty bracket. So I think investing all those combo points into a rip might not be optimal. But then
again, it's Tiger's Fury as well. It's on such a short cooldown these days. I mean, it might just be worth it just to get that damage out. Whilst he's playing that defensive role, he still has his huge dots ticking over. Maybe opening up a window a couple of seconds later, maybe 10 seconds later, to actually make a swap over, back onto that target. I mean, I understand what you're saying about the burst damage is great, but at the same time, bleed damage, you're getting that damage 100% over time, and without how hard these bleeds actually tick, there's some viability there. I don't think that he should keep them up 100% at the time, but I think in that specific instance, it was a good call, knowing he was going to go defensive straight after that. But yeah. Then again, who knows if that was his thoughts. If he was just doing that just to keep his dots up, then it probably wasn't the best thing to do. But in that instance, I think he could get away with it. But all in all, you might be right with taking the Ferocious Bite choice over the Rip.
Yeah, and gates have opened, and it looks like both these teams are going out. I want to see this Feral. The Priest is sitting back on this Feral Cleave. Living Force is hanging out and back. Feral does decide to open up on the Mage. This is what I wanted him to do in the first game. Getting quite a bit of damage out, getting some combo points. These Rogues are just kind of looking for each other. It looks like Magoo is getting sapped out. Full polymorph out a big Mammy Whammy. Not good. Magoo has to Trinket Vanish that. Mage getting the Rogue on this RMP getting opened up on, taking a lot of damage, and the Mage actually forced a block to save his partners. Magoo is getting full feared up here. The Feral is still appears to be the primary damage target, doing a really good job of sitting bare for him. Big Mammy Whammy's cutting the full polymorph to the full blind. Surely this is going to be death for his Feral Druid, and looks like his Feral is going to die in that short CC chain. So yeah, this game number 2 again goes to this RMP. Playing pretty well, getting that Rogue out of stealth, getting that opener, I think was really important for the momentum in this matchup. I don't know exactly what Living Force trinketed, but maybe they had a little bit of overlap in the beginning of the game with trinkets from both Magoo and Living Force. But in any case, really good job by this RMP taking the second match.
Yeah, I was trying to keep track as to what Living Force actually trinketed there upon that Priest Big Mammy Whammy, but I didn't quite catch that there either. I can't really figure out what he trinketed either. But not having it for that blind, or the follow-up CC after the blind, was the game-changing thing, I guess, in that instance. So it's a shame, And what that's going to mean is Enjoy the Silence is going to push further into this tournament through the lower bracket, and that's going to mean that One Punch Wonder, you guys, you had a good run. You know it was entertaining to see the composition, but you're going to be kind of kicked out of the tournament at this point, guys. Really sorry to see that. Sorry to see you guys go. Thank you for playing in this tournament. And Living Force, again, thanks again for putting this tournament on for us, allowing us to put this show on for you guys today. But let's move forward. So Enjoy the Silence progressing to Losers Round 3 right now. So the next match should be the Losers Round 2. Game number 9, which is Schism or No Balls versus Win or DDoS. That's going to be the next game that we're looking to see. Now, if I remember, Schism or No Balls, they was playing. He wasn't playing the RMP composition. I don't.
They were there. No,
think.
that's the KFC. So it's going to be KFC versus Fire Mage Hunter Disc Priest. So we're really, that unusual comp, the Fire Mage Disc Priest. But here we have 2 Survival Hunters. So 2 Mongoloid damage classes, and we're going to see how much damage they're able to do to each other with all that CC going out from these Fire Mages. So yeah, the KFC versus Fire Mage, and I think as you mentioned, because the Hunters don't have many defensive cooldowns, they're very squishy and they're a melee class, so they can't just kite and do damage. They need to be in the enemy team's face. So if I think both Hunters are probably going to get trained up here, again. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean that's what I'm anticipating. Especially since I don't think the Hunter has disengage, or does he? I don't know if he has it.
No, he doesn't. Not as survival. You don't get that. I believe you only get that as
So
or at least if you do, it's later on.
He has aspect of the cheetah. I mean, he can kite away temporarily, but I don't know. I think
cooldown though.
Yeah, 3 minute cooldown. So I think both Hunters are just gonna get trained in this matchup, which is it's gonna be pretty entertaining. I think this game's gonna end pretty quick.
I think so too. I mean, I think that the Mage team, they're gonna take this solely because the fact that if I've got my tongue tied. So if the KFC team, the Hunter Warrior team, they decide to just ride the Mage, there's so much potential to kite, and when they both eventually do connect, he can double Dragon's Breath them. He buys himself so much time, whilst at the same time the Survival Hunter on the Mage team just chomping through damage. It's going to make it a little harder for the Mage to get CC onto the healer with the KFC, don't get me wrong, but I do think that it's going to be a waste of damage, and a waste of time, because without 100% time on target, which they're not going to get onto a Fire Mage because they are quite slippery, I think it's going to cause a problem for them. So they're going to have to just train the Hunters. Maybe the Arms Warrior will be the target of choice as well on the KFC team, and not the Survival Hunter, because there is no defenses on an Arms Warrior. I don't think there's a defensive stance either. So it's a good target to go on, and just kind of CC the Survival Hunter on the KFC team where possible with those Dragon's Breaths and even Polymorphs, maybe even a Trap. I think that's just pretty much it. That's the way that I see it panning out anyway. Stances have been removed from Warriors. I think the Warriors going to be the target of choice.
I think it's a PvP talent now for Warriors defense. No, it is. No, it's a normal talent, but they don't get that till later, I think. It's so hard to remember all this stuff. I mean, I know, right? It's a new game. The talent system has been reworked. I mean, there's different talents, different mechanics in the game. A lot of things have been pruned and updated. So, but in any case, one of the things I was wishing I'd see in this tournament would be like a Pendulum of Doom from one of these Hunters. But it looks like they're playing with a different weapon. But if they had that Pendulum of Doom, I'd assume that'd be BIS because of its 4.0 speed.
No, it's 3.9 now, the Pendulum of Doom. The Pacifier is BIS now. There's only 2 4-speed weapons in the game. It's the Pacifier, and it's a level 85 required green axe. They're the only 2 4-speed weapons in the game, the 2 slowest weapons. So
and I don't think Hunters can't use 2-handed maces, so...
everything's a Hunter wet, bro. I'm pretty sure they can use 2-handed maces. Been able to use everything, Hunters.
I was getting ready to spam PogChamp at that Pendulum of Doom, but I'm a bit disappointed. But yeah, we have 2 Survival Hunters in the same arena, not knowing what we're gonna see. Looks like one of the Hunters is playing with a bat. The other one's playing with that carrion bird. As I said, full trap already coming out on the sailboat. He's going to sit that, not using his trinket. But again, I think both Hunters are just chunking each other down. Actually, the Fire Mage taking a little bit of damage. Same with the Warrior. My bad with the target choices. But the Warrior does heroically, boy, he does immediately go back in there. I don't know what that was all about. So he was able to avoid a little bit of damage. Fire Mage is forced to Ice Block. And right now, I think the Survival Hunters is doing as much damage as they possibly can. We'll see if one of them can land a trap on the enemy healer. It looks like these healers are just having no problems just sitting there casting heals on their partners.
It looks like the Mage is the target of choice, and Schismo No Balls are just relentlessly going out there, trying to get that big Pyroblast cast on. He does get denied right at the end. That was really, really foolish. The Shockwave coming out there, no blink available. Both at the post, Surdues and Block NGGA are forced to trinket there on that double fear, but I Can't Breathe. He has nothing left, and he does go down. No blocks available. Dragon's Breath coming up just at the end there. He does get it off, but it wasn't enough. And it does look like that the KFC team, they're going to take this first game in this crazy matchup. And I mean, wow, I was adamant that the Mage Hunter team should have won this. I really was. I was saying this. I was like, there's no way that this KFC team can take this game. I said training the Mage is a waste of time. How wrong was I? I mean, wow, like, they just got onto that Mage, and when they got there, they just did so much damage. He was so aggressive, and it just forced him to be able to do absolutely nothing. He couldn't push him for polys. He couldn't do anything.
I think he got his hot streak dispelled. I think that's why he casted that that really long pyro. Like, that was so anticlimactic though. He sat there for like 7 seconds casting that pyro, and it just got like kicked or something at the end. And Pyroblast actually doesn't do that much damage like on its own. It's only when you have the Instacast proc. I think it deals like 25% more damage or something. But that was really goofy. But
I don't think he noticed. I bet he thought, "Oh, screw it! I'm halfway through this cast. I may as well finish it," kind of thing.
that was really funny. Poor guy. Fire Mage damage, it relies a lot on keeping those magic buffs of it. Like if you get your hot streak dispelled, I mean, it reduces your damage a lot, especially at these these lower brackets where you don't have much to cover your buffs, or you don't have any damage outside of your hot streak cast. So that Mage just got shut down pretty much the entire matchup. I was expecting both. I said at the beginning, I was expecting both those hunters to just kind of ride each other, but that wasn't the case, obviously, as the Warrior was getting trained and the Mage was getting trained. So that was kind of like two curveballs, at least from my point of view and your point of view.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, lo and behold, that's the way it is. But the gates are open. Let's see what's going to happen up on this arena. Dalaran Sewers, Schismo No Balls 1-0 right now, and it looks like that Schismo No Balls are not taking an offensive position right now. That just kind of comes to my surprise. I expect him to rush in, and here it comes. The charge comes straight in there. There's a good Dragon's Breath opportunity here. Is he going to get the double shockwave coming out there onto Surdues and I Can't Breathe, blinking straight out of that. No trinket was used there. A lot of damage now being thrown out onto the Hunter on Win or DDoS. The full poly, though, catching over to Sailboat. The full Nova sitting onto DJ Hulk there as well. Great cross EC there, but I Can't Breathe. Combustion has come out. The double fear has gone out onto Sailboat, and he's choosing to sit that CC, but no damage is being delivered at this point in time. Dragon's Breath goes over onto Pirate Ship. Nothing really comes off of that now, but I think this is the time where I Can't Breathe, and I Can't Breathe either. He's going to take a lot of damage. He may be going to get a block right about now. I'm not too sure, though. Casting that long casted fireball. There's the block on the charge when he managed to connect there. The fear coming out onto the Hunter, and he does trinket. DJ Hulk, he's not out of the woods just yet. Dipping dangerously low right now. The full trap coming out of the Surdudes, and the whole team of Win or DDoS is sitting around 50% or less. I Can't Breathe, taking a lot of damage. The full poly getting denied. The Frost Nova comes out, but it's not enough, and he does go down. Again, another great game there by Schism No Balls. I mean, Win or DDoS, they had a great opportunity to score a kill on DJ Hulk there, but they just didn't capitalize on it once again.
DJ Hulk came out flexing, man. He heroically executed that Mage. He just got sexecuted. That was like the craziest thing I've seen all day. It woke me up a bit. But, yeah, so this KFC is going to take this series 2-0. So it looks like that now we're probably going to be going back into the winners round.
Let me just take a quick look over at the bracket now. So Schism No Balls, they're going to take it 2-0, like you said, and that's going to put them up into losers round 3, and they'll be facing off against Enjoy the Silence at a later point. But you are right, we're going into the semi-finals of the upper bracket right now. This is going to be SND Cleave going up against Q Main. Now, I mean, these two teams, they wouldn't be in the place they are right now if they wasn't doing well thus far. SND Cleave have taken the first 2 games they played 2-0 clean sweeps up against Whammy House and Schism or No Balls. Q-Main, they 2-0'd Enjoy the Silence and Dem 7 T-Boys, but bear in mind both of these teams did get a free win earlier on in the tournament, so they've only taken one legit series 2-0 against their competitors, you know? So this could go either way. I mean, they both had flawless victories thus far, but who's going to take it when they go head-to-head, Moran? I mean, let's take a look at the competition.
I like Humane a lot. I think they played really well. I have to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to put my webcam down for just a second. So I have to... Someone's at my door, so I'll be right back. I'm not on cam. Oh, okay. So I'll be right back really quick anyway. So.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So what I'll do, guys, is I will run you through these compositions right now. So we're going to be SND Cleave versus Q-Main. So let's have a quick look at what these guys are running. So we've got that Dancing with the Stars on SND Cleave, that Outlaw Rogue, that Balanced Druid, and that Discipline Priest. You know my opinion on that, guys. I like this composition. I think it's really, really good synergy amongst all the CC. Outlaw Rogue with a ranged kidney shot, quote unquote, aka between the eyes. And I mean, that's going to be so good to follow up Fears Off, to follow up these root beams. You know, triple cheap shots coming out if he rocks that subterfuge talent, which I do think is the better talent to take. And I'm pretty sure that you do get that as Outlaw as well. I just want to check that before I kind of hold myself to that. Let's check that out real quick. No, actually, don't get subterfuge. That's just sub and assassination. So maybe the triple stuns are not going to come out from the Rogue to cover that. But, you know, you can definitely do a double stun there. Off the vanish, they can go offensive with that, which... I mean, I just love the whole synergy of the comp. And anyway, I'm kind of rambling there. Let me just move on to the other team. That's going to be Q-Main. And Q-Main are rocking the Fire Mage, Outlaw Rogue, Discipline Priest composition. And we've seen this before, guys. We've seen this before. We've seen the Dancing with the Stars composition. Granted, it was with a Feral Druid, though, and not a Boomkin Druid. It does make a huge difference going up against an RMP. You've got this Priest, this Balanced Druid, Outlaw Rogue going up against it. And I mean... The problem that you're going to find here really is the Rogue on the Dancing with the Stars composition. He's going to have a hard time. He's got a lot of work cut out for him because of all the CC that he's going to get hit by. And if he overextends too far to try and do some crafty peels, so to speak, he can easily be punished for it. The things that they really got to watch out for is getting hit by triple Dragon's Breath. I mean, the RMP team, it far outweighs the Dancing with the Star in a composition basis with the abilities that are available to them and the defensives in the bracket. But yeah, I mean, I must say, in my opinion, I do think that Q-Main, up on the RMP, they should take this series because the games that we did watch them play, we watched them play in RMP Mirror, and they 2-0'd that. They just took that by storm. They completely... I'm not going to over-exaggerate. I would say they did a great job against the other RMP team, and they just throw them in the dirt, you know? They did a great job. 2-0, clean sweep. As soon as the Rogues came out of stealth, they had everything down. It was pretty CC tight. Did a great job. If they can even maintain half of that up against this Dancing with the Stars composition, I think that they're going to be able to take the series, maybe even 2-0. Who knows? But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to check to see if we're ready to get into these next up-and-coming games, and I think we should be able to really, really soon. I'm just going to have to jump back over to the brackets now. So we do have Enjoy the Silence, Schism and No Balls in the losers round 3 right now. So if they manage to win, the team of those which manages to win will be going up against the loser of the next game that we're about to see, which is going to be SND Cleave versus Q-Main. But then again, once the loser team, when he goes down to the losers bracket, if they win that game, it could be another semi-finals repeat in the finals. But bear in mind, in the finals, guys, it is going to be a best of 7. And with that being said, with it being a best of 7, each team has a lot of time, and they would have had a prior time fighting against each other in the semi-finals to really feel each other out and kind of come up with counter strategies and stuff, you know. So maybe there's a chance there if, like in my instance where SMD Cleave, if they was to lose, if they went down to the lowest bracket and come back up and through, you know, maybe they could have figured something out. Who knows? And is that Moran that I hear coming back? You're back? Welcome back, buddy. I think everyone's kind of sick of hearing me talking at the minute. Just one second, I'm getting some intel that I just need to listen to real quick, guys. Sorry about this. The finals game will be 2 best of 5 series. Okay, that's what I'm led to believe. I was under the impression it was a best of 7. I apologize for that, guys. It's going to be 2 best of 5.
So I think I like to clarify. I think it's only going to be 2 best of 5s if the team that comes from losers wins the first best of 5 series. So if the team that's in winners going into the grand finals is the team that wins that first series. Wait a second.
Yeah, I'll explain this. I think you've got a little bit tongue-tied. So if you're from the winners bracket and you get into the finals, if you win the first series in the finals coming through the winners bracket, the upper bracket, you win the tournament. You take home that 250,000 gold, which we have got on stakes. It's a winner-takes-all situation. However, if the team coming up from the lower bracket, aka the losers bracket, wins the first series, an additional second series is played in a second best of 5. And the winner, the victor of that, takes home everything, takes home all the money, and that's just the way it works. It's a format I'm pretty familiar with. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like it. I don't really care about final formats myself. I mean, it's all great fun as long as I see at least 4 games in the finals. I don't really care. So, however that Living Force wants to run this show, doesn't bother me. I'm just pretty happy that we're going to get a finals out of this, and I think it's going to be a pretty good finals regardless of the way it goes, because all these teams at this point, they're pretty competent teams. That we see some good stuff coming out of these teams throughout the whole tournament. So I'm pretty excited to see who gets to the finals and essentially who's going to win.
SMD is SMD versus Q main. SMD is that outlaw boomkin disc priest comp, and Q main is that RMP. This Boomkin has proven to be quite difficult for a lot of these teams. I'm gonna try to see if I can see what talent he's playing. If he is still playing, he is playing with Displacer Beast now, so he is going to be a bit more difficult to kill if if this rogue wants to try to connect on him. But yeah, this should be a very interesting matchup for sure. Especially, I mean, this Boomkin has proven to be quite scary if he's allowed to just kind of do whatever he wants and get those root beams out on the enemy priest. But again, this RMP played extremely well in their last matchup, despite not playing in their first series, getting that bye. But it looks like the priest and the mage are taking a very defensive positioning down below. I don't like when teams do this, but early sap comes out onto Legion Disc. Kind of a wasted DR if you ask me, but he's just gonna mount up, and I think he should try to just get combat or something. It looks like he is going to get combat. He can't get sapped anymore, so really good job. And I think we're going to see a 2v2 for a while. Bim can take a little bit of damage from this Fire Mage, but neither the Mage or the Bim should really be under too much pressure in this early 2v2. Unless one of these priests can get an AoE Fear. It does look like a full poly does land onto Nerfios, and his Bimkin just taking a lot of damage. Probably AoE Fear following that. I'm sorry, he gets stuck in the Dragon's Breath. The Dragon's Breath actually breaks the Frost Nova, so not really smart by that mage. He does get the repoly. We're probably going to see Fear out. Yep, Fear for half duration. Triggers that into a quarter duration blind. This RMP throwing every CC that they have into this priest.
Whoa, that huge 100 to 0 coming out by SMD onto Q main there. That solar beam coming out onto Legion Disc. He did have his trinket available. He did throw his trinket out on there as well. But in that beam, the rogue just got destroyed. Wow, that was just amazing. That was like 1.5 seconds. He just completely went down there. Great job by SMD Clean. And like I said, guys, there is a chance if these guys get the right position, they get the right opportunity, they can beat the RMP. Although I was adamant that Q main, by the way that they've been performing in the previous games, I was adamant with that performance that they would win. But then again, who knows, man? New meta, new expansion. I was wrong. I mean, my prediction was wrong, but maybe, just maybe, we're going to see the Dancing with the Stars pushing through all the way to the finals through the upper bracket. I'd be so surprised to see that. Really great job by them, though. They really caught me off guard with that. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. What's interesting is the Boomkin is playing with Treants. He can play with this talent on the first tier where it gives him 2 instant cast Lunar Strikes, which is basically the same thing as Starfire. It's Starfire renamed. He's not playing that. He's playing with Treants, and I don't think Treants root anymore. I've been seeing the Treants like spamming taunt on a target. So this Boomkin could be doing a little bit more single target damage, but he is playing with those Treants. Maybe those Treants actually do a lot of DPS. I have no idea, but yeah, they just exploded on that rogue really quick.
Yeah, I mean, the damage that just got unloaded there, it was great. It's just great to see these comps, because everyone's always in favor of the RMPs because of the amount of CC they've got playing that Fire Mage as well. Yes, it does DR with the Fear and Blind, but it's a triple CC, They've got a 20-second cooldown. It's so huge. And managing to beat a Mage team playing with it or playing Dancing with the Stars. You know, it's not going to be completely unheard of, but it's definitely a surprise to see Q-Main going down that easy. The sap coming out onto Legion Disc. They're going to look to open up early. I'm not too sure. The full sap coming out to nerf LOS as well, though. Gel Boomy taking a lot of damage now. Dragon's Breath being thrown out onto him there. The triple DR sap coming out onto Legion Disc there as well. And it doesn't look like that anything actually manifestates from that. Nerf LOS manages to top Gel Boomy almost, but he does get locked out on his Shadow Men there. Half Poly coming out to Nerf LOS, and the Healing Touch coming out there by Gel Boomy. Doesn't get it off though. He's throwing out some instant damage. The Dragon's Breath DR coming out to Gel Boomy. It just looks like a bit of a stalemate. Both of these rogues are just kind of waiting for their opportunity to open right now. They're so close to each other in stealth here as well. Gel Boomy taking a lot of damage there. The offensive pen is coming out. The very late Barkstein coming out there. Frost Nova coming out onto Nerf LOS. Maybe it's going to get followed by a Poly. It does not just yet. Desperately trying to pick up some damage, some health here onto Gel Boomy. Shadow Men being thrown out to Gel Boomy. He does get top. Right back up by huge swap coming out over to the mage on Q-Main. Wow, I didn't even see that until he was dead. Well, Big Moran, maybe you caught that. Can you take us through what happened there?
I didn't catch that at all. Like, I was waiting for one of these rogues to die. The Boomkin popped his treants on the rogue, so I was expecting a lot of damage. But yeah, I mean, one of the things is the Boomkin is getting these instant casts. If the Boomkin does take damage, he does have a chance to get Alkin Frenzy procs, which translate into a lot of damage. I don't know if it's called Alkin Frenzy anymore, but that's what I'm gonna call it. But yeah, that was a crazy amount of damage going into that mage.
I'm just lost for words now. I mean, I have to take everything back that I said before that series. I said that they pretty much had no chance, but where there's a will, there's a way. That's the TLDR of what I said. But they won. They 2-0. They're in the finals. And I'm really, I guess I could say I'm pretty proud of them. I'm not going to lie. I'm glad to see such a great team in the finals. So we have SND Cleave progressing further into the tournament, into the finals right now. And the next series that's going to be coming up is going to be the losers round 3. It's going to be Enjoy the Silence versus Schism No Balls, and the winner of this will go on to fight Q-Main in the losers round 4, which is the semi-finals of the lower bracket, and the winner of that will go into the finals to face the almighty, the relentless SMD Cleave. I'm pretty excited at this point, Moran. I mean, the burst damage that's coming out, the coordination to line that up, I don't know where the damage comes from because I have no idea about this whole meta. But I like it. I really like it. I'm psyched. I'm pretty psyched right now. But ahead in the game anyway. Let's get back to this. Let's calm down a little bit. Let's get real. Enjoy the Silence. Schism No Balls. We've seen these guys play time and time again. Both teams are pretty good at playing what they play. You know, Enjoy the Silence playing that RMP composition. Schism No Balls. I do believe that is the KFC team. Yeah, that is the KFC team. There's that Survival Hunter, that Arms Warrior. I mean, we've seen Schism No Balls play against a RMP before, I do believe, and I think that they won. One Punch Wonders, didn't they? Wasn't they playing the RMP? Maybe you can enlighten me here, Moran. I'm not too sure. Oh no, they didn't actually. That was the Outlaw Rogue Feral Druid Disc Priest. Again, that's who Schism No Balls faced in the previous game that they played, and they managed to take that 2-0. But it's going to be really difficult, I do think, with the Schism No Balls to actually beat Enjoy the Silence. I mean, it's RMP. But then again, I said this last time. I don't know. I have no idea how this goes. I'm just spitballing with you guys right now. But going in real, with how this seems to be panning out right now, all of my calculated predictions seem to just be flopping. I'm going to have to say Schism No Balls can take this just through raw damage. I mean, they've got Trap. They've got Trap, Shockwave, / Stormbolt, Fear. That could be enough to take down a Rogue or a Mage, right? I don't know. But with that being said, I'm going to go to a quick music break for you guys because I've got a couple of things that I need to do urgently, really fast. We're going to be no more than 2 minutes at maximum, guys. I can promise you. Sit tight, go grab a drink, and be back really soon. Don't miss anything. Be right back.
nice dude with some nice dreams. See these ice cubes, see these ice creams. Eligible bachelor, $1 million bow. That's whiter than what's spilling down your throat. A phantom, exterior like fish eggs, the interior like suicide wrist red. I can exercise you, this could be your phys ed. Cheat on your man, man, that's how you get in his head. Killer with the beat, I know killers in the street, but still to make you feel like you're chilling in the heat. So don't try to run up on my ear talking all that raspy shit, trying to ask me shit. When my niggas feel your best, they ain't gon' pass me shit. You should think about it, take a second. Matter of fact, you should take 4B and think before you fuck with little skateboard P. Drop it like it's hard. 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 I'm a gangster, but y'all knew that. The big boss dog, yeah, I had to do that. I keep a blue flag hanging on my backside, but only on the left side. Yeah, that's the grip side. Ain't no other way to play the game the way I play. I cut so much you thought I was a DJ. 2, give it 1, yep, 3. That's me, double O, P, D-O, double G. I can't make it, just breaking it when I take it. See, I specialize in making all the girls get naked. So bring your friends, all of y'all come inside. We got a world premiere right here, and I get lost. So don't change the diesel, turn it up a pedal. I got a living room full of fine dime bristles. Waiting on the bizzle, the dizzle, and the shizzle. G's to the biz act, now ladies, we get some. We get some, 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 we get some. Drop it like it's hot. 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 Like it's hard. Drop it 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 like it's hard. Drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it.
Guys, we're back. We're here. I have Moran back with me, and it looks like that we are ready and raring to go to get into these next up-and-coming games. And it's going to be Enjoy the Silence. No. Yes. It's going to be Enjoy the Silence versus Skids and No Balls in the semi-finals of the lower bracket. We've already spoke about the compositions a little bit, but Moran, I don't think that you had an opportunity to voice your opinions on that. Bear in mind, it's going to be Enjoy the Silence rocking the RMP composition, but Skids and No Balls, he's going to be playing the KFC with the Survival Hunter. My TLDR was that after doing all of my calculated opinions, I'm always wrong. So YOLO, Skids and No Balls are going to win just through raw damage and a couple of traps. I mean, what's your TLDR, bro? What do you feel about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I like Schism of No Balls comp. Again, I said on paper that's a pretty strong comp, but the RMP, I mean, you can't really underestimate them. I think what's been pretty much the strategy almost every time for this KFC against any sort of rogue team is they immediately go into the rogue with a shockwave, and usually that's enough to force the rogue's trinket. And in the last game against a warrior team, the rogue actually trinket vanished really early on, I think. So again, it depends on what line they take. If they decide to go on the rogue, he's very squishy, but the mage is a bit tankier with that ice barrier and with block and cold snap. So the mage is a bit more of a long-term investment, but the rogue is definitely I think a better target if you're just going for the short game. Yeah, I mean, if this KFC is able to line up their damage, get the CC out, I think it's going to be very difficult for this RMP to deal with that.
Yeah, I think so too. I do think Skids and No Balls, though. I mean, I've seen them pull out some hella damage, I must say, over the course of this tournament. So I do not doubt for 1 second that Enjoy the Silence in the opener, if they do not get it themselves, they're going to be on the back foot for a long, long time. If they catch that shockwave, like you say, onto the rogue at least. If they get a double shockwave over onto the priest there as well, there's so much potential to follow that up with a trap or fear, and that's going to set Enjoy the Silence really, really far behind very early on in the game, catching trinkets left, right, and center. So All my eggs are in Schism or No Balls basket right now. I mean, that's how I'm feeling about this. What's your all in all? What do you think, Youth?
Yeah,
RMP?
I mean, I like Schism or No Balls' chance. But again, I think this RMP are there 3 good players, and sometimes that's like more important, just having good players compared to having a good comp. But you know, I shouldn't really be underestimating this KFC, but it does look like a sap comes out, opening up out to the Warrior. Warrior has been getting trained pretty much this entire tournament. He does get the double shockwave. It is blocked by the Mage and triggered by the Priest. And the Warrior's taking so much damage, he's actually just going to go down in that. Yeah, pretty nutty.
Yeah. Let's just. I mean, you guys can take a look at that again one more time. You can see there the Warrior fails his heroic leap. He only leaps about 5 yards. He doesn't manage to get line of sight. He just goes down in that stun there. I mean, great job by the RMP. They executed everything immaculately. They got the sap over onto the Priest. You know, they got the cheap shot onto the Warrior. He sat that cheap shot. Granted, he's an Orc, and he's got a little bit less time with the passive hardiness, you know, but just wasn't enough. The damage was just too out there. You know, the Priest could not trinket that sap of fear of the full blind. So a lot of damage came out in the opener there. Maybe the Schism or No Balls need to really think about the position a little more in the opener. You know, like maybe the Warrior being down bottom and not in LOS of the Mage up top, forcing the Mage to push in further so the chance to interrupt polys and maybe even some damage or something. I'm not too sure what they can do at this point, but it's looking pretty promising for Enjoy the Silence because they are coming out here by storm. They are just like relentless right now with that opener. They've got me convinced. Maybe I was wrong. Every time I make a prediction, Moran, I'm wrong. I am wrong. It is the caster's curse. Yeah. It has to be. I mean, normally I think I'd be right, but I guess I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know as much as I think I do. Who knows? But then again, you're wrong as well. So it's just too. It can't just be us. It's got to be. You just got to be a thing, man. It's caster's curse.
Whatever, man. It doesn't hurt to be wrong every now and then.
It's all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Maybe something's questionable there, but yeah. Let's see if this rogue can get another sap on the Priest. It does. Did he get the sap? Yeah, he did get the sap. Another opener onto this Warrior. The Warrior's gonna have a free triple shockwave here, trinketed by everyone on that team, I think. So now he has a reduced cooldown on that shockwave. The Priest is just sitting all this CC. I don't know what percent his Warrior's floating at around 30% HP. He does. They do actually force the ice block out from this this Mage, but the Mage actually the Hunter, I'm sorry, missed the trap, but it doesn't even matter that the Warrior just went down. I don't know. That's I wasn't paying attention very much there, but and yeah, we're gonna have an instant replay.
That was just immaculate there. The whole time, Enjoy the Silence executed everything perfectly. You know, they got the full sap into the Vanish half sap, into the full fear, which didn't get trinketed. The half blind got trinketed there right at the end. The Dragon's Breath did miss Sailboat, but he goes into a triple DR poly, which sealed the kill over onto Schism No Balls at that point. And I mean, that's Enjoy the Silence, a 2-0 sweep in the semi-finals of the lower bracket, and that's going to push them further into this tournament, into the that was the quarterfinals of the lower bracket. Now they're going into the semi-finals of the lower bracket right now. So this next game, there's a lot on the line here now, Moran. I mean, it's going to be Q-Main going up against Enjoy the Silence, and I do believe that these guys faced off earlier in the tournament. It was Q-Main who knocked Enjoy the Silence down into the lower bracket, and they pushed their way up all the way through into the semi-finals right now. So who do you think going to win? Do you think the Q-Main are going to be able to take the game again? Will it be 2-0? Or do you think Enjoy the Silence?
Those matchups are really weird. I mean, we hyped it up. It was Complexity versus Dignitas. Right, so Flynn and Calamus and Wreckful were looking for saps on each other. Weren't able to get that, but Hydra and Calamus were able to do a lot of damage to the Mage, and Wreckful actually got caught out of stealth, and then Calamus was able to open on him after he got the Eye Crystal, and they just blew him up. So it depends on what strategy these RMP takes. If they both play passively like they did last game, who knows who's going to win? It's
I don't know. I've noticed though. It's Enjoy the Silence. They've got a flavor that they like to go with, and it's early on in the tournament I've been doing this. It was only in the RMP mirror they faced earlier, which might I point out that they lost, that they wasn't doing it. They go all in with their CC in the opener. As long as they get that full sap onto the healer, they don't care. They just go all in, you know. And I think that might be fine I think that the Enjoy the Silence's rogue should literally just open up onto the mage, catch that blink, grappling hook it if possible, but as soon as the enemy rogue opens with a cheap shot, trinket it. Don't even care. Sit the full blind if you have to, doesn't matter. I think that that's their way to play. I feel like that they have so much synergy of knowing what they're supposed to be doing when they maintain that high level of aggression. It's really working for them against every other team. They wasn't doing it earlier on, and I think that they need to try it out against Q-Main, because I think it's the only way to really force Q-Main to make mistakes is by putting them on the constant defensive, because before they were so much more dominating with the whole play style, with the offensive dispelling. They did a really great job earlier, Q-Main, against Enjoy the Silence. So I think there's a chance of both teams at this point. I mean, I kind of want to see Enjoy the Silence take this, because it's kind of like, you beat us earlier, but we're going to come back and beat you again. You know, like that's what I kind of want to see. But now I've said it, it's probably going to be the other way around. I don't know. But hey, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure now, though, that this is going to be a best of 3 series, and the winner of this game is going to go into the finals against SND Cleave, which is that Dancing with the Stars composition, which I'm so excited about seeing play again, because I love watching the one shot come out from those guys. So yeah. I think we've got 2 great series coming up ahead.
Yeah, I mean, at least we know what the grand finals is going to be. It's going to be Dancing versus RMP for sure. But you know, I wouldn't count Enjoy the Silence out of this tournament at all, even though they lost the initial matchup against these guys, simply because teams sometimes just need to just feel the other team out for a little bit, and so now they kind of got a taste of what this RMP can do. I think they're looking to get their revenge. You know, that maybe they're a bit more comfortable now in the matchup. They kind of know how they can kind of expect how it's going to be played out. So I think it's more of an even playing field, if you ask me, going into this final game, because now both teams kind of know what to expect, and so we're not going to see many. I hope we don't see any like really gimmicky kills like we saw in the first matchup.
Yeah, I hope so too. And guys, you do see the score right now is 2-0. That's just a mistake. It's because these guys played earlier on, and the add-ons just maintained the score from earlier. So that's the problem right now. That should get edited really, really soon. So there's no confusion there. Okay, so the gates are soon to open, and I want to see Enjoy the Silence on the aggression this time. I'm going to be disappointed if I don't see that, but let's find out what's going to happen. And the gates are open. Both teams heading up onto the bridge right now. The mage from Enjoy the Silence, he pushes up the middle pillar there as well. Legion Disc is really far out. Double Dragon's Breath coming out. The full poly coming out into Legion Disc here. Some damage should be going to Sudowoodo right now, and none of the rogues are choosing to open, and I don't know why. A lot of damage coming out to Sudowoodo. The Dragon's Breath denying the re-poly onto Legion Disc there, and the counter spell came out onto Sudowoodo on the Fire Tree. The full poly going out over onto the Priest on Enjoy the Silence. Now the mage is in a lot of trouble there. The Dragon's Breath does come out to try and peel the Shadow Men getting thrown out there, managing to pick Sudowoodo up back in that block. Great job there, but again, it's still a 2v2, Moran. Both rogues are being idle. I mean, what is going to happen?
Yeah, and as I, one of the strategies I talked about earlier just happened before my eyes. The rogue actually, while they're sitting in stealth doing nothing, he was able to sap off of a polymorph, right around the time that the ice block was forced. So really good job. But right now, if you're Q-Main, I mean, you got to be a bit concerned right now. Your priest the priest has got full polymorphed. That mage, he came off of hypothermia, only has 1 block available, but right now it's just a stalemate as these 2 rogues look for each other. I should mention that the crystals will be coming out in 15 seconds, so maybe you're going to see one of the teams kind of inch towards that position so they could get that shadow sight and catch one of these.
Sudowoodo taking a lot of damage now, and he does have his second block available, and he does use it. That's so huge right now for Enjoy the Silence. They're going to be able to capitalize on this. This means that the rogue and Enjoy the Silence should be able to open up Legion Disc. Grabbing those eyes, though, he's going to be able to pull the rogue out, and the cheap shot coming out onto the rogue of Enjoy the Silence. A lot of damage coming out. Double Fear comes out. The trinket there. Is the half line going to follow? And he does go down. Wow, Q-Main have done it again. When they get that opener, they killing it. Purpur doing a great job in locking down the rogue there on the enemy team, completely into his death. The Double Fear really sealed the deal there. Great job by Legion Disc, knowing and seeing that opportunity to catch that Double Fear and not being denied on it by any potential CC that could have come out there from the mage. Great job by Q-Main. I was so adamant that Enjoy the Silence was going to take this series. I was both blocks down in Suwu QT. It was just given on a plate, that game, but they screwed it up. once again.
Yeah, apparently that's why rogues don't open. I don't know, man. Like, I think if the mage on either team is really fast, getting that polymorph immediately onto the opening rogue, I think they could potentially sit the cheap shot. And you know they might have to blow a vanish, might have to blow a riposte, but I don't know. Both these rogues just die instantly in the opener, and so as I said in the beginning of this matchup, I was like, hey, I don't want to see any gimmicky kills. Well, we just saw a gimmicky kill like in 2 seconds, but maybe you can make the argument that it wasn't entirely a gimmicky kill. Legion just got the crystal and was able to throw that Shadow Word Pain onto the rogue of Enjoy the Silence. So yeah, really good job by Legion Disc taking that initiative, moving towards that crystal, pressing a Shadow Word Pain, getting that rogue out, and getting his team that George W.
The George WB, yeah, great job by them there. I mean, it's Q main. They're pulling it out of the hat again against Enjoy the Silence. Sorry if that's the name. Enjoy the Silence, is it? Yeah, it is. Enjoy the Silence. I mean, they've done it once again, and I'm fearful for the existence of Enjoy the Silence in the rest of this tournament now. I mean, he was playing so well in the previous game against Schism No Balls, and it just feels like they're letting themselves down. It's almost like they're too scared to just give it a shot, you know. They are the RMP out of the two that are the go all in type of guys, but they're just giving the enemy team the free openers, you know, at times, and giving them a free win by chance, just handing it over just by a chance on sap, you know. I just get stuck in there. Like I said, trinket that initial cheap shot, pop riposte, go all in on one of the targets, you know. I mean, get 5 points as fast as you can, swap the kidney over onto the road, catch his trinket, blind him, go on the mage, and maybe vanish, sap him off, hold the vanish for that. I mean, that's probably the best way to go about it. And he gets to open first, and he still has control. That's probably how I would go about it if it was me. But I don't know. I don't know if it's maybe crossed their mind, or maybe they can figure out some loopholes in that strategy. But I do think that Enjoy the Silence need to be the aggressors. It's their only chance in staying in this tournament right now, because it is a best of 3 at this point, and they are a game down. They have to win the next game to stay in the competition. So, I mean, good luck to them, is all I can say at this point.
Yeah, I'm actually watching the replay right now. I think the mage, or the rogue died immediately following his vanish. That's kind of one of the things that kind of sucks about that I've noticed as a rogue in Legion. If you vanish, it doesn't immediately drop the enemy team's target. You're like still visible for a small period of time, I think. I mean, that's just what I've noticed both playing as a rogue and playing against rogues. So, you know, the vanish might not actually be that good of a cooldown, especially against a team with a dot, because it's gonna break really fast following that.
Yeah, and I do believe that in accordance with the rules, that one of the teams is failing to queue up because they get 3 minutes in between the games to queue up, and then it goes into their technical time. So they have 15 minutes of technical time at bare maximum in a one-set section throughout the tournament. Neither of the teams have taken that time previously, so we're just waiting on the teams to be ready now. They have up to a maximum of 15 minutes. They're probably going to take this time to talk some tactics through. I mean, if I was Enjoy the Silence right now, I definitely want to take this time and really run through some strategies and some ways in dealing with Q main and their whole approach to the games, you know, because they always seem to be catching those eyes first, and that's so huge to be able to score the kill on the enemy rogue. You know, you want to be getting those eyes, and it was the Legion Disc, or Legion Priest, he was called. He got the eyes for Q main's team, but by which point I do believe that the rogue had already been opened on Enjoy the Silence. You know, just Purpose doing a great job of tracking down the rogue on the enemy team and just locking him down and locking him out and essentially rubbing his face in the ground, you know. I mean, they definitely need to change some things up. We all know how I feel. Go hard or go home, boys. That's that's the approach I'd take. Just go all in. And at this point, I think they've got no other choice.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go and take a quick break while these guys are on their technical time. Well, we don't know how long they're going to be. They shouldn't be too much longer now. We're getting word saying that they're going to be very soon ready. So with that being said, guys, we're going to jump into some music really quick for you guys. Another opportunity. Grab a drink, grab a coffee, grab whatever. and be back really, really soon, guys. Don't miss out on these up-and-coming games, because I can promise you they're going to be really, really good. Be right back.
Tomorrow, and I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. And I feel the way that every child should sit and
Welcome back, and we're already into the next game. I promised you guys that we wouldn't be long, and I was right. We delivered. Here we go. The next up-and-coming game is Enjoy the Silence, who is again down against Q-Main in the lower bracket semi-finals of this tournament, and the winning team goes through into the semi-finals and has a chance of winning 250,000 gold. Winner takes all, cash prize in-game. I'm pretty excited to see what's happening here. Q-Main, being the winners of the previous game already, they have the advantage. If they take this next game, they're going into the finals. So Enjoy the Silence has a lot riding at this point in time right now. But the gates are about to open. Moran, take me through it. What do you think? Do you think these rogues are gonna hide in stealth, or do you think they may change a couple things up?
Yeah, I think history will repeat itself. I don't expect any of these teams to change their strategy. Actually, the mage taking a lot of damage from whatever this team's name is. And it doesn't look like it looks like the Legion is just pumping out damage with those schisms and those offensive penances. I'm sorry, smites and offensive penances. The priest on this oh my god, the priest is forced to trinket already. That's not good, because I don't know. Actually, the rogue doesn't have his blind available. I think he used it on the mage randomly. So right now, though, I'd be pretty concerned if I was this priest on Enjoy the Silence, because now you don't have your trinket available.
Yeah, just got to try and hold out now, maintain that combat to avoid the potential saps come over. There it is, the full sap off the ad. This is where the open must come. Maybe it's going to be a triple sap that comes out here if Purple chooses to do so, but the mage desperately hugging that LOS, just trying to get round there to avoid any incoming damage, allowing his priest to sit that CC without getting in too much trouble. The power shield does come out, and he is going to be fine. The full sap, though, coming out onto Suwu QT. Both rogues playing this stealth game. Purple desperately trying to find the rogue on Enjoy the Silence team, but he's playing very, very passive now. He's so scared of being caught out, and Purple being that aggressor in stealth, but a lot of damage being thrown out now onto the Major Enjoy the Silence. A lot of damage going in. Does get picked back up. The Polymorph does get denied there by Suwu QT. Great job, but the full volley going out over onto Legion Disc. Suwu QT is in a bit of trouble. The Ice Barrier comes out. He goes straight through it. The Blanket Silence over onto Priest. On the full sap over onto the Rogue. The cheap shot comes out, and here it is. Q-Main have their opportunity. A lot of damage to go into the Rogue right here, and he doesn't use his trinket, and he does catch that Vanish. So the riposte coming out there. The counter pressure onto Purple, and he does go down. The Diablo coming out to Legion Disc. Enjoy the Silence. They are still in this. The Ice Block comes out now from the Major Enjoy the Silence, and it looks like they are stabilizing. Great job by Enjoy the Silence. They managed to pull a game out of the hat, keeping themselves in this tournament. Fantastic job. He did get opened up on. The Rogue chose not to trinket. He held his trinket. He vanished the new stun between the eyes. He vanished that. And he managed to score a kill on Q-Main's Rogue at that point. Great job. That's just what I wanted to see at that point in time. The trinket, as you can see, he used it there right at the end of the game to prove that he still had his trinket available. So Enjoy the Silence taking that game convincingly at the end, making it 1-1 in this best of 3.
Yeah, I think Purper just got a bit too trigger happy. He got the Rogue. He got I got it. This is so hard to like say with the names, but he got the Rogue from the other team out of stealth with that sap, but then he immediately opened with a cheap shot, and so sap costs energy and cheap shot costs energy, so I don't think he just had the follow-up damage coming out of that. He was down a lot of energy. He did get the between the eyes off, wasn't enough, and as the Rogue just used his Vanish to escape that damage, and then they immediately turned it around on a Purper who was kind of sitting there in the open, and then a few seconds later he's staring at the ceiling because I don't think he uses Vanish. I don't think he uses Riposte. He just kind of died.
I think so too. I think he should have instantly vanished when he should have predicted that Vanish to come out there from the Rogue on Enjoy the Silence's squad. I mean, that's where you just counter Vanish to stop the full stun coming out onto yourself there, because that is kill, as we've seen many a time in these RMP mirrors before. So that was just a mistake there on purpose, Matt. If he would have trinketed there, I think he would have survived. If he did get caught out, but if he just pre-vanished, like I say, he would have been absolutely fine. And then Enjoy the Silence would have been very, very far behind in cooldown trade-offs at that point. So that little slip-up cost him the game, but Enjoy the Silence capitalizing on these mistakes. So again, great job by them, and they're not out of this tournament just yet. The gates are about to open, and I just can't wait to see who gets who here, because it's all about who saps who. The full sap coming out over onto Legion Disc, though. The initial damage coming out onto the mages, both firing damage into each other. Both priests sapped right now, and it looks like both priests are going to be eating these triple DR saps. Great job by these rogues. Leaving it as a 1v1. The full poly coming out onto Suwu QT. He's just going to stall with polys, looking to get the hot streaks there. Fireball into poly coming out by the mage and Enjoy the Silence. A lot of damage going to Suwu. The offensive penance coming out. The counter spell coming out, denying that fireball on the mage. Really great job there by Suwu. He just mitigating that damage. The Dragon's Breath coming out into the Polymorph, and he doesn't get trinket. He just breaks on damage there. Interestingly enough, the Priest looks to be the choice of target on Enjoy the Silence right now, and I don't know if they agree with that. With a full sap, though, coming out to Legion Disc. This is so bad. Purple needs to open, or it's going to be a block here. Maybe it's worth opening to invest a Vanish. I do not know. The double sap coming out. Suwu desperately trying to survive. Ice Barrier coming out into that block at 30% HP. Catching that Power Word Shield. Shadow Man's going to top him straight back off, though. And again, Q-Mate are down the blocks, but are they going to be able to turn it around when these rogues get caught out of stealth?
Yeah, but this is the exact same situation we had in the first game. It didn't really matter that the ice block was forced. They were immediately able to turn it down with a kill onto the rogue. And I should mention, because it's been so important in these previous matchups, that the eye crystal is coming out in 10 seconds. So, one of the priests might start moving to that area. It doesn't look like they noticed. They're not doing that right now, but that's one of the things I should be looking to do in the next few seconds, as the crystals just now spawned. So if they're able to pull one of those rogues out of stealth, they can really spell trouble. But it does look like a full polymorph is onto Legion Disc. As Pseudo is taking a lot of damage, he's going to need an ice block again. Second ice block has been forced with the resap coming out onto Legion Disc. If they have any more CC available, if they can extend the CC for the duration of that fear, I think that this is going to be a lot of trouble. Pseudo actually blinking into the eye crystal. He's going to take that full cheap shot, and he is just going to go down. He wanted that crystal so bad that wound up killing him. He wasn't able to blink the cheap shot. So a really good job by, I think it's Original on that rogue. getting that cheap shot, just denying any sort of pressure from coming from that crystal, and that really actually screwed Sudowoodo over. I don't think he should have blinked to get the crystal. He takes 5% increased damage, and he doesn't have the blink available for that stun. So, unfortunately for oh wow, okay, maybe there's gonna be a counter kill, but I think he's fine. He just used his grappling hook to get away.
Yeah,
But
he got a shot on that re-stealth off. Yeah.
they're still trying. Both these teams are still just playing this game out.
Yeah, and he does let Pepper goes down there, which means that Q Main are going to be the losers of this. Allow and Enjoy the Silence to progress into the grand finals, taking this series 2-1, and they're going up to head against SND Cleave in a 2 best-of-5s in this grand final with a winner takes all 250,000 gold cash prize. I mean, both of these teams in the final, we have SND Cleave, we have Enjoy the Silence. They both deserve to be in the finals right now. Enjoy the Silence have taken the bumpy road. They dropped early on down to the losers bracket, getting knocked down to there by Q Main earlier on in the tournament to then come back to take this series 2-1 in the semi-finals of the lower bracket. Great job there by Enjoy the Silence. I knew they had it in them. I called it, man. I was like, I do think that Enjoy the Silence are going to be able to take this series, and they did. I had the faith. So great job there, guys. Really happy about that. And SND Cleave are going to be going up against some really fierce competitors now in the finals. I mean, SND Cleave, I'm pretty sure that they're the guys that are running the Dancing with the Stars, right?
Yep.
And so far, they've been doing a great job of dealing with a lot of these compositions, being able to tank the damage, play really passively and defensively into a way where the Boomkin Druid is, being the target of choice. I've seen him so many times in previous games, sitting on so low HP, doing great jobs of kiting them elite teams. I'm pretty sure they even faced an RMP earlier on in the tournament and dealt with them really, really well. Yeah, they 2-0'd Q Main, actually. Did a great job at handling those guys, so maybe they're going to go in really well prepared and equipped to take down Enjoy the Silence, but who knows? We'll just have to see who's going to take that. What are your thoughts on it, Miranda? I mean,
I've been liking this Boomkin team. I don't know. They haven't been too impressive to me, but I mean their damage is pretty absurd. Again through those Alkin Frenzy procs with those Star Surges and those the Lunar Strikes, whatever it's called now. That's a lot of burst damage. It comes out pretty quick. So you can't sleep on this Boomkin team because they'll just do a lot of damage, and you got to be looking out for those instant cast procs. That's if you're this RMP, you need to kind of be playing around the Boomkin. If you are hitting him, you got to be aware that he will be getting those instant cast procs. They can be dispelled though by the priest if the priest is quick enough. So I'd be worried if I was this RMP going up against this Boomkin, just because he has been proven to be so scary for these rogues and mages early on in this tournament.
I think so too, and I think that what they need to do is when they go on the Druid, they have to go on him in a stun only, allowing the priest on their team, on the RMP's team, to be able to dispel the Druid so that when he comes out of the stun, he's got no Alkin procs. If they don't get anything or they get some defensives, just swap straight back onto the mage to deny any polys that can come out there for free. I think that's onto the rogue, to swap over onto the rogue, and just deny him from being able to, do anything, essentially, But if they sit on that Druid too long, I think that they're just going to get kited around too much. That the rogue on the RMP team, Enjoy the Silence's squad, I think he's going to get pulled out of position and potentially killed. Because that Book is doing a great job of manipulating the player's position on the map just by dragging them into places where he wants them, then unloading heavily and getting those big one-shots. That's what they're relying on. That's the way they've been playing it. So I do think that that's kind of how it's going to go down. Really, he just has to be so careful on that rogue, on that RMP team.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, before we go into the finals, we are probably going to take a little short break as both these teams set up. Obviously, both these teams want to be as ready as possible going into this grand finals, but it shouldn't take too long. But for the meantime, we're probably going to go to some music. And I guess I was completely wrong. Both teams are ready, so we're going to be going into this grand finals. And again, as a little bit of a reminder, it's going to be a best-of-5 series initially. And the winner, if the team that comes from losers, so if the RMP, Enjoy the Silence, wins the first best-of-5, we're going to go to a second best-of-5 between the same two teams. But if SMD Cleave wins the first best-of-5 series, then the tournament will be over. SMD Cleave will win. So this is called resetting the bracket. if the team from lower bracket comes up and wins the first series, they reset the bracket in a way so they have a chance to take the grand finals. And so yeah, that's what you can expect to see coming up in these matchups. Is we potentially might have 2 series played between these teams.
We potentially may do. I mean, seeing that the way that Enjoy the playing this far, it's been pretty impressive. They've really learned to adapt to the people that they're playing up against. They've really felt out the composition that they're playing as well. When they came in, they was looking a little bit shoddy, a little bit rusty, so to speak. Maybe not all necessarily clued up about it. I'm not too sure of these players' experience, but they've really pulled it together now. And they've done a great job at like taking down some of these better teams in the tournament here as well, especially Q-Main. Q-Main, they was a really strong squad throughout this whole tournament, you know, and Enjoy the Silence did a great job at taking them down after losing to them earlier. So I do think that Enjoy the Silence, they're going to go in here with their head held high. I mean, they're going to go in with the momentum. They've just come from a victory in the lower bracket, so they know that they're on the back foot, but they've got the momentum thus far. SND clearly, they've not played in, let's say, about an hour now, so, you know, maybe the nerves will get to them as well. That could have an impact on the outcome of this first game.
Yeah, it's that losers, like getting bumped into losers, you kind of get this like momentum building, especially, you know, going into this grand final. So like psychologically, I give the edge to this RMP just because they have been progressing so hard in this this losers bracket. And again, this, as you mentioned, this Dancing with the Stars hasn't played a game in forever, so they're a bit unpracticed compared to this RMP who just battled through that losers bracket. Their backs against the wall. I mean, they certainly have the momentum going into this matchup.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to point out, guys, at the moment, I think that you guys are seeing that it's 1-0 to SND Cleave at the top. Well, that's how it's looking at the minute, but that should get fixed up. It is going to be 0-0. There's going to be no advantages going into these games. It's a straight best of 5, and the gates are about to open. So let's see who gets the opener, who's going to capitalize, and who essentially is going to go down the grappling hook coming out from both these rogues. Desperate looking to get a sap here, the full sap coming out onto the priest. Both priests from each team, the triple sap should be looking to follow, and this is where the damage comes out. The Moonfire is being thrown out there onto the mage and Enjoy the Silence, and he just, look at the position of this Buki right now. He's just stood near the pillar, throwing out these Lunar Strikes, catching that Power Word Shield there. The sap again coming out from these rogues on the triple DR, and it's looking like a bit of a stalemate at this point, but Jellyboomie taking a significant amount of damage, dropping below 50% though, but Nerfloss does a great job of just picking him right back up. All of these dots that are just ticking away at the mage's health right now. He's in a lot of trouble. Valdos gets opened up on. The blind comes out, and he does get trinketed instantaneously. Then the full root beam sitting onto the Disc Priest and Enjoy the Silence, and the block is forced out of the mage because of it. Great job with that there, but Valdos, he's not out of trouble just yet. The riposte does come out though, and the full fear coming out onto the mage, but he does manage to get out. That shadow meld coming out there as well. Valdos, he's not out of the trouble just yet. Nerfloss needs to pick him up as soon as he can. Maybe he needs to grappling hook away. So much damage is being thrown in. The double Dragon's Breath coming out. Triple DR on the rogue. The full gouge onto Nerfloss into the half poly. This could be it. The sprint coming out there from Valdos, desperately trying to get away. Is there anything that can be done? There isn't, and he does go down. Jellyboomie didn't have anything there available to be able to keep him alive at that point. Nerfloss sitting that half poly. That's just a real shame, the way that panned out there. I think they could have utilized the defensives and coordinated the CCs much, much better defensively to keep Valdos alive there towards the end.
Yeah, well, but okay. Well, what I thought was interesting is the mage ice block. I think kind of it was like semi-aggressively. It's hard to say. He wasn't really being attacked, but he was low HP. But the mage just sat the full block, came out, and just was hovering at around 30% HP. And for the longest time, I was really surprised that they didn't try to reconnect on the mage. I know it can be hard as a melee class to connect onto a mage, but the mage is able to do so much. I mean, especially since both the rogues had riposte popped at the same time. I think the mage was a really good kill target at that time because he just came out of that block, was really susceptible to just getting bursted down if they're able to connect. But yeah, really good job by this RMP. It got a bit clustered at many times during that matchup. It's kind of hard to keep track of who's Dragon's Breathing who. It's just all the colors seem to blur together into some nice rainbow, like some Kappa Prides. And so I was kind of mesmerized by the colors. But in any case, really good job by this RMP, taking the series 1-0 so far. And if they can keep up this momentum, perhaps they can come out victorious and reset the bracket, and we could see them in the grand finals round 2 for this tournament.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I want these games to keep on going because I just want to keep watching Enjoy the Silence, taking these games. They're really entertaining to watch, at least on my point of view. I'm a big fan of RMP, but then again, I'm a huge fan of Dancing with the Stars, especially at this bracket where all the classes are not really coming to their own at this point, you know, but there's still enough there to have synergy, and that's what I like about it. The fact that they've got into the grand finals through the upper bracket, might I add, playing this composition. It's a little bit lackluster in regards to the CC in comparison to the RMP, but it's still there. There's still potential. They just really need to line up them perfect CC chains that they do have, and that single target damage and explode onto something. Maybe even the Priest could be the choice of target. For SND Cleave, maybe they want to be going on that Priest, you know, double fear, like a fear onto the Mage, especially, maybe even force an offensive block there. That can, you know, it's potential swap over to him, you know?
That's what I was saying. Like, I think a lot of these teams could be going on Priest a lot more than... no team has gone on Priest so far. It's not one of those strategies you think of intuitively that would work, but sometimes it just works in the right kind of environment, and I think this could be the right kind of environment. I mean, you lock down his ability to heal, you lock down his ability to offensively dispel. He's pretty much forced to just sit there and rely on instant casts, and you know, if he does get kicked on his Shadow School, he's gonna have to penance himself, and if that gets interrupted by a counterspell, then you know he has no spell schools available. So I think it's a really viable strategy, especially with two lockouts, to just ride the Priest in this matchup. But again, it can be a bit too aggressive. You can fall a bit far behind, especially when CC starts rolling out onto your healer. So it's just one of those strategies that it either works really well or it doesn't work at all. So it's just kind of risky, and maybe these teams kind of want to play what they know works. So.
I think so too. It is risky, but maybe catching a team off guard could be the play to make here. Both rogues going straight at each other. Do they see each other? They don't. The full sat coming out, though, onto both priests at this point. It's going to be a 1v1 Mage versus Boomkin. A lot of damage being thrown out there onto Jelboomy. That Ice Barrier setting up the counter spell, denying that Solar Wrath onto Jelboomy. The half sat coming out to Nerf Loss. Maybe he's going to have to stand behind there and just cast some healing touches, and he does. Great job there, just keeping himself stabilized. Just enough. The double fear, though, the rogue got caught out and Enjoy the Silence. This could be it. The Trinket Vanish comes out there now, and the Vanish does not come out from Valdos either, though. Maybe that's something that can be punished. I do not know. The dot is on Valdos there as well. He needs to cast out the spell. The blind coming out onto Nerf Loss. He does instantly Trinket that Shadow Meld coming out from the Priest and Enjoy the Silence into that beam. He does manage to get out of it, though, into the full gouge. The rogue is in a lot of trouble. Enjoy the Silence right now. The full poly could come out. No, sorry, the full Snoop could come out at any time. And SND Cleave have gone down, and I completely overlooks that. Moran,
yeah,
what happened?
I don't know. It's again, I think these rogues need to be slightly more patient. It's really weird. I think it was, you know, as you mentioned. Valados was able to sit the full cheap shot, and I think he just used his riposte afterwards. Mage, aka the rogue on Enjoy the Silence, used his Trinket Vanish very early on, and they kind of just weren't able to build much momentum following that. And what was interesting is I don't think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see much CC out on the Priest at the very end when his rogue died. I don't know what was CCing him. I mean, was there a polymorph or something that I maybe missed?
I definitely not. I mean, most definitely not. I was paying a lot of attention to that because I was looking at Nerf Loss's frames whilst I was talking about Enjoy the Silence. Didn't even pay attention to the Rogue Boomy on SND Cleave. And all of a sudden, you know, they lost. Like, there was no CC onto Nerf Loss there. I don't know, maybe just an overload of damage, because when those rogues do eventually open, their opening damage is so high, open up with that cheap shot, and then you get to use the Saber Slash, and if that procs a pistol shot, you can do run through and then pistol shot, you know, and it's a lot of damage that comes out there. And with the Fire Mage connecting some damage there as well, it doesn't surprise me that someone can die that quick, just at the same time as SND Cleave have been doing in the past as well, with that instant boomy damage. So it's kind of a mirror, the way they execute the damage in that sense. But the CCs are way, way different.
And Mage, the rogue for Enjoy the Silence, has been using his grappling hook and sprint at the beginning of each game to get this out. If he doesn't get it right there, he does drop off the bridge, so he's a bit behind. He does actually get the sap somehow. I don't know how the Priest didn't get combat right there. But here we have a pretty identical opener, minus the fact that the rogue, the Priest for him, Enjoy Your Silence, isn't sapped right now, and it does look like he does get cheap shot. Probably a Fear is going to follow. Certainly a Fear will follow that. Fear and Beam overlapped a little bit, so I don't know. This is looking pretty good for this RMP. It does look like Mage is getting targeted. He does need to survive this. He does get blunder between the eyes. I'm sorry. It does get gouged fully. That he might actually go down from these dots, and he just does go down, just killed by raw damage. That was actually really smart. That gouge. I mean, it seemed really weird, but when they're gouged, they can't vanish, and those dots will tick, and it kind of messes up your tempo. It kind of messes up your GCD usage, getting a very short CC. Even though it will break eventually, it messes up your ability to vanish, and so he just flopped.
You just have to notice that he vanished as he died.
Yeah.
As he died, he pressed vanish, so that gouge won the game for SND there. That
Well,
literally won the game. Great job there by Valdos.
It's really funny how that works out. And I'll remind everyone, Vanish doesn't drop target immediately. If a rogue vanishes in front of you, you can still see the rogue for like a second or two. And we've seen that in these matchups a little bit. Rogues will die right after they vanish. You're like, what the hell? Like, what? I thought like the enemy team couldn't see them. Well, the enemy team can for just a very short period of time. I don't know if it's a bug or if it's intended, but that's just how the game works. And so we don't have a bracket getting reset quite yet, as Enjoy the Silence is up 2-1. Whatever, was it SMD Cleve? What's the other team?
Enjoy the Silence versus SMD Cleve. But you are right, Enjoy the Silence, they have not taken this series just yet. But if they win the next game, that means there's going to be a second best of 5 that's coming out right now. But if SMD Cleve manage to flip things around and take 2 on the bounce, they will take the whole tournament. 250 bones straight in their hands, split that any way that they choose and see fit. And that would be it. I mean, so there's at least 2 games left of this tournament, guys. Let's see who's going to take it. I mean, if you want SMD Cleve to win, I want to see some hashtag SMD Cleve in the chat. If you want to Enjoy the Silence, do some hashtag Enjoy the Silence in the chat, boys. I mean, I know who I'm putting. I'm all for these guys. Enjoy the Silence. Big love to you guys.
Yeah, we do have a 3-minute delay, so we're gonna see that a little bit.
It doesn't matter. I don't care. Let's go. So the grappling hook does come out there. The offensive pen is coming out there as well already. Both.
Yeah, Nerfios was able to get combat, so he's not going to get sapped up. Rogue on this Enjoy the Silence team is going to take that triple sap. Maybe a cheap shot following that. Yeah, a cheap shot following that, interrupting that heal, and Priest is going to be taking a lot of damage. Root beamed off of that cheap shot, overlapped with Fear. Kind of questionable. It does trigger that into the half blind, but I'm paying attention to both these rogues as they are taking a lot of damage. As Mage is forced to use his Riposte, and I don't know if Validus has used his quite yet. But
Validus hasn't, but he did use the Trinket Vanish though. But the whole team of Enjoy the Silence in a lot of trouble right now. The Mage throwing out them fireballs. Maybe he's got the blob on the road. Could go down here as well. Please keep him alive. Shadowman's coming out, getting him above 50% now, but he's not out of the trouble just yet. He's dangerously low, and he does go down. The rogue has gone down, guys. SMD Cleve are still in this. They're still in it anyway, but they are still able to take this, guys. I mean, in this first series, SMD Cleve, these guys are coming out like fire right now. Absolutely fire. I mean, that opportunity that they had, because you did have to see there that the rogue on Enjoy the Silence, aka Mage, opened up onto SMD's rogue. But even though that they managed to get that opener, it wasn't enough. They flipped that damage straight back around, got a great bit of CC going up over onto the Priest there and Enjoy the Silence and scored the kill. I mean,
and this is match point for Enjoy the Silence. If they don't win this game, they're going to take second place, and SMD Cleve is going to be our winners. But if Enjoy the Silence can take this game, we're going to see the bracket getting reset. We're going to see a second best of 5 series, but this is the first best of 5 finals between these two teams, but the potential first best of 5 finals. So let's see how these teams choose to adjust. I really like the fact that the Rogue opened up with the cheap shot following that the triple DR sap, but you know, there was a bit of overlap following that between Root Beam, Fear, but it didn't even matter as the Rogue had blind to follow that up. But in any case, I mean, these rogues, no wonder why, you know, they're staying in the stealth for so long. They're just incredibly susceptible, just getting blown up. Which is exactly what happened. It looked like Mage was going to live for a while. I mean, he had his Riposte available. He survived through that. But then once that fell off, he used pretty much a sitting duck.
And that's it. The Saps come over onto... Oh, wait. Nerf Loss managed to keep combat once again. Maybe this is going to play to their advantage, and it really should at this point in time. But the triple DR Sap coming out now onto the Priest, but I enjoy the silence. But the Mage is about the cheap shot over onto the Mage. So it looks like Valdos is open, but he just get open on as well. The gouge coming out onto Gel Boomy. Nothing has really manifested out of that onto Valdos. And the Root Beam coming out onto the Priest. If he trinkets that, he's going to go into a blind. He has to sit it. But Valdos is taking a bit of damage. The Vanish does come out there, and the full blind does come out. The trinket instantaneously to follow. But it does look like Enjoy the Silence. They're in a lot of trouble right now. Maybe this is going to be the block. The Rogue and Enjoy the Silence is taking a lot of trouble here. The full fear coming out to Valdos does get dispelled instantaneously. There, great job by Nerf Loss, spamming out that damage there as well, being as offensive as possible. But the whole team Enjoy the Silence is dipping down so low. They're in so much trouble.
Full War Stomp into a full fear coming out onto this RMP, and the Rogue does go down. So it looks like your tournament winners of the Forceful 39 Cup for 250,000 gold will be SMD Cleave. Really well played by them. A little bit of mistake at the end with the War Stomp onto I think on the Valados DRing that's done. But yeah, that's gonna be your 39 tournament, ladies and gentlemen. SMD Cleave just doing crazy damage in that last game. Pretty much putting the RMP back on its toes throughout the entire thing. But yeah, can we get some clappers in chat? That was well played series by these teams. Really good job.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dancing with the Stars versus off against RMP. Who should win? I mean, I was all for the RMP winning. The amount of control that they have in the game, the amount of damage that they can bring out there as well is enough to completely outmatch these Dancing with the Star compositions. But as it turns out, SND Cleave, they were the stronger team. They come out with Storm. They was just relentlessly throwing out all that damage into the whole team of Enjoy the Silence. By the end, the whole team was rotting, and eventually they all pretty much died at the same time. Fantastic job by their SND Cleave. And congratulations, you guys are the Forceful Cup 2016 3v3 champions. The first tournament of this chain of tournaments, and I do think the Forceful Cup is going to be an ongoing thing in the future, guys. This is tournament number 1. There should be, and I do believe there will be, a number 2 coming up at some point. So I'm really happy
next Sunday, perhaps. I think we're going to see another tournament. I think Living Force said every Sunday before Legion gets released. So there's only one Sunday before Legion gets released. So if anything, we're going to see a tournament maybe on the 28th. So in exactly a week from now. But we'll see, how frequent we can make this. But thank you for big thanks to Living Force for creating this tournament, Alababoa for donating 25k gold and I think a toy to the MVP of the tournament. And then big ups to Conk and GG19s for donating 200,000 gold to this prize pool. And that's one of the things that we like to see. We like to see attention being brought to every single Twink bracket. So not just focusing on 19s, but giving some attention to the other brackets, showing them some love. And that's exactly what we're able to do in this tournament. And we were able to do a while back with the 29 3v3 tournament. So I really like casting these things, actually. I was a bit hesitant on doing it before, but it's always fun. I always like watching it. It's always enjoyable.
Yeah, It's always a lot of fun. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure casting with you again, as usual, today, Moran. I mean, you're always my number 1 go-to guy when it comes to these arena tournaments, and you never cease to let me down. So thank you again for turning up and helping me cast this great event. And just a big shout out to all the NWL staff that actually made this possible, to bring this all together. Our broadcaster, Lyndon Cron, we have Conk working in the background as well. Living Force doing a great job bringing this whole thing together. So again, a big thank you to everyone who took part, one way or another, how little, how big, and what your input was. It doesn't matter. All collectively, we all made this thing possible. And because of that, we're going to be able to get more of these going on in the future as well. We're going to be seeing some 29 tournaments coming up in the near future as well. They've already been announced by Living, the man himself, the guy who pretty much does all of the majority of these arena tournaments, or at least creates them. But us at the NWL, we're proud to present to you the Forceful Cup 2016 August tournament number 1. But with that being said, guys, congratulations to SND Cleave for winning all of the cash prize for tonight.
Yep, and I just like to point out, getting some messages from Conk. I guess some people in the XP community are looking to, if you're looking to play endgame in Legion, I potentially will be able to lead an RBG team with the Twinks. I'll try to get some more information about that later. But in the meantime, we might have a Winters interview if we're able to get that team into Discord to speak with us. You know, we'll be answering all the typical questions that these interviews tend to have. So we're gonna see what goes on to them. But yeah, if you guys are interested in playing RBGs in Legion at Endgame, I know Conk was trying to move in that direction a little bit, try to grow XPOF's Endgame community. So I'll try to keep people updated on that. I don't know if I don't think we're actually gonna have a winners interview. I'm sure they would have said, "Oh, we played great, congrats to our opponents," all that PR stuff. So then we can kind of get that out of the way. But yeah, really good job to SMD Cleve. I'm still not sure what SMD stands for. I'm gonna have to Urban Dictionary. Let me Urban Dictionary that really quick.
Well, while you're Urban Dictionary that, Big Moran, I'd just like to say once again, thank you for everyone who helped make this happen. Thank you everyone for turning up and watching this whole tournament. But with that being said, we're going to have to wrap this thing up here. So with that being said, feel free to check out xpof.com. That's our hub where all of us twinks hang out, where all these events get organized. You know, and be sure to follow the channel as well, guys. The NWL here at Twitch. We do our best to bring to you guys as many good, high-quality wargaming tournaments at any level that we can. Anyone who needs like a tournament hosting, we're more than happy to do it, and we pride ourselves on our ability to be able to do so. So if you want to see more of this kind of content, feel free to drop the channel a follow. Drop the channel a follow. And with that being said, Moran, do you have any final shout-outs? Preferably nothing corny as usual. That's your trend.
I mean, or shout out to my homies and Skill Ratio. I think Pizza was watching the stream. Pizza's a cool guy. I met him in real life. We played air hockey together. So I think Brittany got like hit in the face or something by a puck. But we're not gonna mention that. But big shout outs to Pizza and Brittany. They're cool. Yeah, XPOF community, Conk, kind of cool, I guess. But whatever. But yeah, that was my shout outs. The homies.
Okay, with that being said, I've already given my thanks and a praise. So with that being said, again, guys, thank you very much for watching and good night.